Welcome to the BJJ Executive Podcast, Episode 7. I'm your host, Dave Kroll. And once again, tons of conversations this week. I feel like I've spent the better part of this week, because I've been around a lot of my jiu-jitsu friends in different environments, in the tournament environment and on the mats. I've just had a lot of opportunities to talk about the podcast. It makes my day when people come up to me and tell me that they're even listening. Because quite frankly, I thought for one period it was just going to be me and kind of my family that listened and maybe a select group of friends. But if it touches one person, then it means everything to me. And I cannot understate or overstate how much my heart is filled with gratitude when I hear that. And this is sort of a communal effort. It would be nothing without the guests that come on. It would be nothing without the people that listen to it. So the fact that you've hit play at this point, I truly am grateful for the time that you're investing in your own jiu-jitsu journey, and I welcome you to my jiu-jitsu journey, because we're now kind of connected in some way. If you haven't listened to the Tristan Gazal episode, I encourage you to go back. It came out probably a couple weeks earlier than this episode. Early 2023. And one of the things that Tristan talked about, and who knows, maybe we'll get him back on at some point to talk through maybe some specific examples, but he used a quote that I've heard before. It's come out of Atomic Habits by James Cleary, which if you don't own that book, that's a book for the bookshelf. Not necessarily a life-changing read from front to back, but it is one of those reference books that you could go back to a million times. But the quote is paraphrased as, make bad habits hard to do and good habits easy to do. And that's one of the secrets to success. And so that got me thinking this week and flipping through some pages, kind of preparing for the guest that we've got on right now. And one of the quotes that I was drawn to, and I'm going to paraphrase once again, and again, this comes out of Atomic Habits from James Cleary, is that time magnifies the margin between success and failure. And so with that being the case, and that means that good habits that you have become your ally. And likewise, bad habits that you've got become your enemy. And so good habits, obviously, helping you small steps along the way. And you could use little analogies like financial ones. So for example, as a bad habit, if you're spending more than you make, one time that's probably not going to leave a lasting mark. But if you start doing that month after month, and worse, if you live a lifestyle where that's your norm, then you're going to have a problem long term. And time magnifies that, right? So obviously in that case, bad habits are your enemy. You could turn that on its end and use the reciprocal. If you have a surplus, and even better, if you have a surplus that you invest and you do that month after month after month, 1 month isn't going to change the world for you, but over time, that good habit that you've picked up will be magnified. And so obviously this is the Jiu-Jitsu podcast, a Jiu-Jitsu podcast, and I look for little threads to pull on, or ways that we could sort of take it into that realm. And I think about the habits that you need for jiu-jitsu. And we could go on, we could talk about this in so many different ways, but one of the habits, and this has come up so many times, even with our recent guests, I know my professor, Formiga, has brought it up. Rodrigo has brought it up, and everybody else has brought it up in some way, shape, or form, and how important consistency is. And so I'm drawn into some of the habits of this week's guest, and I think of all of the reasons in the world that I can come up with not to go train. And I love jiu-jitsu. Even loving jiu-jitsu is not enough. You've got to make time. You've got to make it a habit. But how we met, how this person and I met, was literally like probably a year or so ago. I saw this guy I didn't really know, just kept showing up in the gym, And we'd be training during the day, sometimes at night. And the more I got to know him, the more I realized, like, wow, okay, so he's bringing his son to train. Okay. Turns out he lives like freaking 40 minutes away. Turns out that's $20 worth of tolls in between here and there. But yet it's a habit. And that consistency itself has no doubt paid off. And I'm really excited to get into some of the stuff that we're going to go into today. But I won't make you wait any longer. This week we've got my buddy, husband, father, gym owner, successful entrepreneur, successful real estate person, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt, Chaz Cameli. Chaz, what's going on, brother?
Thanks, Dave. It's going well, man. Thanks for the intro.
Did I get your name right?
You did. You hit it.
Dude, what's Chaz short for?
Chaz.
Chaz, dude.
So my mom,
I love it already. Anybody with a Z. So my son has a Z in his name. Anybody with a Z, man, I've got an affinity for. That must be why we get along so well.
There you go. Yeah, everyone asks me that question. Usually, yeah.
I thought it'd be like a Chaz. Charles or something like that.
Yeah, it was supposed to be.
It was?
Yeah, well, Chaz is short for Charles.
Okay.
But I think my mom, Chaz, huh? She told me she had one name picked out, and then she just changed it on the hospital bed right there.
Dude.
So that's cool. I don't think she thought much through it.
So you didn't get a chance to meet my kids today, but I think the one I'm talking about is floating around. So we had a rock, paper, scissors when we took him home, and his name is Kazuma. And
say it again?
Kazuma.
Okay.
So it's a Japanese name, right?
Yeah.
So he goes by Chaz, which is
a little
bit more Americanized. But it was gonna be Johnny.
Okay.
And I'm talking straight Johnny, dude. Like not Jonathan.
You can't change it.
Yeah, we ended up rock, paper, scissoring for my wife and I did. And the lady was there like, I got to put something on the birth certificate. So what's it going to be, guys?
I love it.
Who knows? Maybe that's what happened with your mom.
Yeah, no, pretty much.
That's
I'm glad. So you guys did go with the Japanese.
We went with the Japanese name. Yeah,
and
I might even have it mixed up a little. It might have been the middle name. I can't remember. But my oldest we knew right away, but the second one, it was like, it seems like we kind of were more winging it.
I know I brought up a few Japanese names to my wife and she's like, yeah, right.
Dude, I can't wait to get into that, man. Yeah. I can't wait to get into that. You've got an affinity for Japan that is still a big mystery to me. So
yeah. Well, I'm leaving in 2 weeks. So
Karuizawa?
We're going to do a Nagano trip.
Yeah, dude, yeah. I'm so jealous. I was telling my wife about that before you got here and she's like, what? And all of a sudden it's like, well, when are we going?
Right?
Yeah. Well, you saw the dogs, man. Believe it or not, the dogs are probably the biggest anchor that we have.
That makes sense.
Getting somebody to watch the dogs. You can bring your kids with you. It's hard to bring your dogs. Sling yourself across the Pacific.
It's a long time too, because it's like you want to make at least a 10-day trip out of it.
Yeah.
So.
Is that what you normally do, like little 10-dayers?
I try to get at least 8 days in.
Dang, man, I'm so jealous.
And then because 2 days of travel. Before moving out here and having a W-2 job back in California, I was union, so you get like 2 weeks off a year, so I'd always have to do a week trip. And now it's a little more flexibility. I'm going for a little bit longer this time, and then I went September when they were closed. I got a visa, so that was pretty cool. That was a really short trip, and then I went
it's hardcore, bro.
November with my family for a week because my wife was at schools, but now. Hoping this summer, and then October we'll go for a little bit longer than we're used to.
That's awesome, man. Dude, I'm so jealous. If you're going and getting, like when they first opened back up, I remember for my wife, like that was a big deal, dude, because Japan closed hard. Like in typical Japanese format, they went straight fanatic, closed the doors, and even for residents that were outside of the country, like she's been here for a long time, but I mean. Like I'm gone for 3 months or something. It was hard for people to, or if not even possible, to get back in.
Well, and I was so nervous that when they did open, that they were going to be the strictest on the COVID situation with vaccines and all that, and they've been really lenient on that. I mean, you can be vaccinated or not. You just got to do your test, and
cool.
That was a big worry of mine because not being vaccinated, I was like, I love the country and I want to go back so bad, but. I'm not going to take a shot just in the country.
Yeah,
no. I was really happy that they went ahead and
I'm shocked. I'm shocked that they, had any flexibility whatsoever. I figured it would be the Japanese way or the no way.
Absolutely, and that's usually the case.
That is usually the case.
Yeah.
It's so hard for people to understand. I don't want to pre-limit too much because we'll have to dive into it, but obviously, man, I could talk about Japan forever.
Me too, man. You're going to get me started later, but...
I know.
You have to shut me off.
Did you hear Kramer's episode, Ryan Kramer?
I did, yeah. That was great.
Yeah, that was another good one. It was good for a lot of reasons, but we both knew we were going to dig into Japan quite a bit.
I loved it because I didn't know Kramer that much, and then someone had mentioned that, Kramer had gone to Japan, blah, blah. So we started connecting on the mat, and that's how we got a little closer. And then he hooked me up with some buddies of his that he trains with.
Oh, nice.
And they gave me, some background. But then off the podcast, it was great because I really got to hear what he experienced through there. Because he kind of gave me some snippets about it.
Yeah.
And I remember he told me his apartment, looking over Tokyo Tower, and me knowing Japan, I'm like, that's a big deal, dude.
Yeah, I know, man.
Like you got an apartment, like looking at Tokyo Tower. I mean, what were you doing in Japan?
I know, man.
So I was really curious,
especially in that area. That's a really nice area.
Yeah, it's
I always
great.
Told him as well, man, because I live like way out there, dude. Like I saw a picture of Tokyo Tower.
Yeah.
This is where you don't live.
Yes.
Yeah, I was on one of those. I had one of the east to west commuter lines, like where they straight up like have attendants that squish you into the train. I hate
For
it,
you,
dude.
it's probably
Oh,
did
it's
your head hit the top of the train?
No, but like, I don't like, they're literally being zero space, so. And at first, what I would do is I would put my arms up, and hold on to a thing. But then I got like frowned upon a few times because of my backpack on. So, protocol, of course, is you take your backpack off and like, so you're just kind of letting your body, sort of flow with it. Like, dude, you're a one organism. You and the other 220 people that are, next to you.
On that, I took my son to Japan at 3 months, and little baby carriers.
He must have been a newborn at that point, dude.
Yeah, he was 3 months.
Okay, 3 months. Okay.
Yeah, so newborn. So
God, you're a freaking crazy man. I cannot believe this.
Those wraps that you put around your kid to hold him in there?
Yeah, like little kangaroo wrap type
yeah,
thing.
Exactly. And we'd jump in those, and I was with my mom, my wife, and straight rush hour, man. And it was just, you don't hold on to anything. You're just leaning on people. And I remember having my 3-month-old, and it was a good experience.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. I saw your family. I didn't have a chance to talk to you. So Austin this weekend, obviously.
Yes.
I saw your wife and son there. I was in my own nervous
you were so
world.
Focused, man.
Dude, I was.
I said hi to you, and you're so serious. Your lip was like, "Is this the same Dave I know from the gym?"
That's awesome, dude. I probably felt like throwing up, or something, But I come prepared. Like all that little apparatus that's over there on the floor, man. Like I pack yoga mats, foam rollers, the works, bro, and go through a routine. Not that I'm some seasoned dude or anything, but like I just like to be prepared.
It's good to be prepared.
I cannot wait till I can be like a relaxed guy that just sits there and watches their friends, and then guess what, it's my turn, yay, I'm gonna go to the bullpen and get warmed up a little bit. Like, dude, I can't be that way, man. Is that how you are?
That was the first time I ever got to experience that was
really
Austin, but it worked against me because I was too just mellow about it.
I just can't see that in you. I mean, you should roll like you normally roll, which is, I mean, it's a mix of mellow and aggressive. Like you have a volume knob that's really loose. Like if you need to turn it up, dude, it doesn't seem to be a problem to turn it up, as I found out on Monday. And then if you need to just, kind of keep a pace, then, you seem perfectly comfortable to do that. I mean, you want two different versions of yourself? Do you want like the speed version and the, Monday afternoon version, or what?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think what's exciting right now is I'm trying to figure out, what kind of tournament game I'm creating and going into it. So it's all brand new to me, on the competing side. I haven't competed so consistently like this. And it's fun to just have fun in there.
Yeah.
And now I gotta kind of figure out, okay, strategically moving forward, how can I utilize these 5 minutes to the best of my ability? Right now, I'm too flowy. Yeah. And I have a game, but in the gym, I kind of just go with it. Yeah. I like to, play around, have fun. And with this last tournament, I let him get way farther than I should have. And I was able to escape. And I didn't. It was fun to get out of bad position. But again, I'm at a tournament. I just gave him I think 11 points or something like that.
And you paid money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
different than Mondays.
Yeah, I could change that. So
it's a good point, man. I thought that was a very similar experience that I had. I was like, man, I need to go out there and like really execute. I can't. I mean, if it doesn't go right, I'm not going to go and go cry about it. But like to do let's just see what happens. Like when we rolled, like, well, what Chaz is going to do today? I wonder. Like I didn't go in there being like, I'm going to pull guard on Chaz and I'm going to do this, and it was just a Monday, and it didn't go well for me, obviously. But like at the tournament, it was. I'm pulling guard. Here's my first 3 moves, and because you only got 5 minutes, dude. That goes quick, especially when you're training 6 or 7 minute rounds in the gym.
Well, then I think that's a lot of people tell you to do, right? Go in there with a game plan, have those kind of things, hit them, be the first to make the move, kind of thing. And I've yet to do that. Like it's just not in me just yet, and I'm hoping to. I hate being restricted. Yeah, I dislike it, and even when I'm rolling, I don't want to just focus. I want to be able to go with the flow and have options. Yeah, and it makes it more fun to me. Yeah, like if I were just,
I know what you mean though. I know exactly what you mean. It like otherwise, especially if you're used to kind of going with the flow, then all of a sudden having to have a script, it does seem a lot more straitjacket like. Like this is kind of what I have to do. Probably makes you more nervous, actually. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, I guess it's something that comes with experience. But you're going to go up to Oklahoma, huh?
Yeah, we're going to Oklahoma this
Do you
Saturday.
have a match? Do you guys have a bracket, or is it still pretty loose?
Yeah, there's one guy in my division.
Okay.
We were talking earlier, I'm Brown Masters 1 at Feather, and there's just not a lot, it seems like. With the bigger tournaments, Houston, there's a lot more people in that weight class and that age. But for me, right now my goal is to get more tournament time.
Yeah.
The money's, it's expensive, and the time, but at the end of the day, for me, I'm having a lot of fun. I've never had fun with tournaments before. I've always been so anxiety ridden, and now I just want to get out there. And I'm learning too. Like I said, this last weekend, it was so much fun. I had fun. Yeah. I was laughing and I was thumbs up when I lost. And here it's like I kind of want to do the same thing, but kind of bring up the intensity. Yeah. And so, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. It is fun that you can I guess we get to a point where, I've got like I'm not getting a scholarship here, so what do you, what's there to be upset about? If you went out there and you experienced and accomplished what you wanted, it doesn't always have to end with a win. There is a lot of experience that comes with that. And, just being out there, and I'm not talking about you're a champion just for trying. I'm talking about there's things to gain by just going out there and experiencing it and learning it, even if it's just the mechanics of how does the round start. And I didn't know that when we did Waco, man. I hadn't done a tournament since I was in adult division. I didn't know they carding you out, and then you just begin. I don't know, it's pretty obvious, right? But just now I know. So it's cool. That part is done. I'm not worrying about that. Yeah. Or when do you go to the bullpen? What do you do in the dude, what do you do after? I don't know that. Should I bring water? I don't know. You know, it's stuff like that. So experience starts to clear some of that stuff out, win or lose.
Well, it's funny because I think we're in the same situation. Houston was my first IBJJF tournament.
Waco or Houston?
Houston was in November. And
in November.
That was all new. I was texting Mark, what do I do? Where
do I go?
Where's my car? I'm so I was all stressed out. And, but yeah, I think my problem too is that you had mentioned it's the winning and losing thing is I really don't care if I win or lose. Yeah. I don't get upset if I lose. And that's something that I really need to fix because I pass a card. I'm okay. Yeah. I don't really want to place that bad.
How bad do I want to get out of this?
I really want to. I'm okay. So that's something, I need to. There's this guy in Houston I rode with and I contacted with him. I'm going to probably go with him in Dallas, which I'm really excited. Mm-hmm. And he's someone who I really want to try my best at. Because I just really respected his game and all that. That's cool, man. And so this time moving forward, I'm really prepping for that mentally. I think that will help. I'm hoping that will be a good evolution in my mindset and my game going against him because I really want to give him my all. Yeah. Because he did just straight 5 minutes of long step passing.
Oh, really? Wow, that's cool, man.
And it was brutal.
That's awesome. It gives you something specific to work on and then retry, I guess, next time you go. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty cool. I never really even thought about that or really appreciated it. But the guy that I went up with, that first match that you saw, it depends how Dallas goes. I went up to in weight class to go against him because I didn't have anybody down at heavy. And it might be that way in Dallas again. And if it ends up being the case, then we'll go against each other again. But it was a very close match, And so I'm sure if he sees my name, he'll know exactly what I'm going to do. It won't be a surprise. And then same thing with me. I'll know some of, his attempts and what those might look like. And over time, that ends up being a kind of a fun give and take,
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's not so much. I've heard about that a lot. I was talking to James Faulkner about it in Waco and it was his first black belt match and he comes off and he's like, man, me and this guy have gone against each other since purple belt or something, I'm like, dude, that's really cool. That's cool. Yeah. You wouldn't have thought of that. So how's work going, man? You socked in the house, I'm guessing. If people probably don't realize, but we're basically free today for the first time in 72 hours because of an ice storm, which Dallas is not equipped for.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm surprised I was able to get you out here today, man. I
have to get out, man. I got the 4Runner 4x4, so I've been driving since it shut down.
Oh, really?
We've been going to the gym, open up the gym at Wolverine and training. And,
Rebel.
Yeah, I'm like, gosh, well, it feels like COVID. I can't do this again, man.
Oh, dude,
I'm
tell
like,
me-
I
tell
do
me
not like
about
these
it.
shutdowns.
Tell me about it. Well, COVID, I didn't care. But this one, I'm like, dude, I don't want to slide off the road. I mean, I grew up in the Midwest, so the ice is normal, but it's been a long time. And so I'm good. I can just wait it out. I'm like, dude, it's 50 degrees tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
I-
Well, I'm
I
more
can-
scared of the Texas drivers than
Well,
I am
yeah.
with the icy roads.
Yeah. Well, of course, but those are out there. So it's
Yeah.
not like being scared of it's going to keep them away, you know?
Nope.
Well, that's cool, man. Well, I figured like with everybody else that wasn't going out there and training, you would have gotten cordoned off. So, man, thanks a lot for coming out here. Because, again, like I can't wait to get into your background. You've got such an interesting story.
Well, thank you for having me, man. I'm really excited for this. Been looking forward to it.
Heck yeah, dude. You want to dive in?
Yeah, let's do it.
So let's go back to the beginning. I know based on our conversations, you're a SoCal guy. At least I think it's SoCal. So,
Yes.
So I was hoping I was going to get a couple surfing stories out of you. But is that where it began?
Yeah, I mean, grew up in Southern California, Huntington Beach, Surf City.
Cool, man.
So my
Sounds like a pretty attractive place to be.
You know what? I didn't realize how good I had it until I left. And I left. We can get into it when I left to Hungary and to Europe. Was really an eye opener to how amazing America is, and then let alone growing up in that small little. The chance for me to grow up in Huntington Beach.
Yeah.
And it's really a blessing. And my parents said, so it's kind of like, I guess I'd be like third generation Huntington Beach.
That's
So
awesome.
my
man.
grandparents
That's
were
cool.
there, then my parents, and I was myself. And I thought I would never, ever, ever leave Southern California. I don't care how bad it got.
All of the stereotypes and
Yeah.
all of the, generalizations, I'm sure.
And it's like, I was like, there's no way I could live away from the water, the weather, and then it's like, you grow up in that environment, you think you're told it's the best place in the world, kind of thing. You go see some other place and you realize how good it is. You're like, man,
Yeah. True.
So, and I never thought I'd move to Texas, especially Dallas and no water.
Dude, I know, man. Dallas has got a lot of goods, but I mean, coming from the sand and from the mountains and whatnot, I know you were down on the sea, but we don't got that. We
there's no
barely
way-
have trees.
Yeah, no, that's
We've got yellow and gray
yes.
and hot.
I actually like
and
a
ice.
Yeah, and
all
no
these
ice.
all these appealing attributes. It is a wonderful place, but
You know what? It's grown on me huge. And I think a lot of it's the jiu-jitsu community. It's that's one of the reasons why I came out here. But to Texas, it's more than I ever thought it could be. It's just really exciting, and a lot of it's even what we're having this conversation here, and the opportunities that I've laid out, and come from California and over. It's what was going on in California and coming here and seeing. Just all the industries coming here and the housing, all that stuff. I'm like, okay, this is really neat to be a part of and to see.
Yeah.
And
you're literally part of an exodus of a state.
really, yeah, I truly am. And it's
a shame, dude.
We didn't have to leave.
Yeah.
It was, I think it's a very wise decision, especially now. We had a lot of hardships we can jump into later. I'll kind of bring us back to my upbringing, but so pretty much, grow up in Huntington Beach, great upbringing. I was my mom was a single mom, so a little bit of my upbringing which we didn't bring up, but I am hearing impaired. So
yeah, as I've learned.
Yes, we have a good story of that.
You don't really advertise it, and you wouldn't know. So
yeah, well, you found out in a funny way.
Dude, I kind of feel bad about that.
I loved it. We were talking about earlier and made me laugh so hard. I think that's when you had made that comment. And then someone had posted on I didn't even know you were doing the podcast.
Okay, yeah.
And I found out it was you. I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm like, I got to reach out to Dave because we had that. I think I reached out to you shortly after that.
I think it was like that day or something like that. Yeah. But the comment that I made was that, and I had for 3 times in a row, you were looking at me and I don't know, I would say something and I'm like, dude, can you not hear me? I felt like, and then you're like, oh no, I'm hearing impaired.
Yeah, no, I can't.
Oh, I feel like a little ant right now, dude. I feel terrible because you kind of cupped your ear, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I have a hearing aid in, and I'm like, oh well, man, I think I'm just gonna go and disappear into the changing room for a few minutes, dude, and cry in my gi.
I think I saw your face because at first you said it really jokingly. I mean, you did say it jokingly.
Yeah, because you looked at me and you're like, I said something about, I think what I said was, dude, we got to get together some point and talk about Japan.
Yes.
Because we had never done it. We had kind of started conversations like before we roll or something, and it never goes. And you're like, all I heard you say is Japan. And I'm like, I got all frustrated.
Yes, you were frustrated. And you snapped. It felt like you just snapped a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it takes a lot for me to snap, so hopefully I didn't snap.
It was
I probably snapped back, though.
Yeah, you're like, dude, what's wrong with your hearing?
Oh my!
I heard
God.
that one.
What a guy, dude! What a stand-up guy.
That was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
luckily you took it in stride.
Yeah, no, I mean, I grew. That's kind of my background. You know, it's my hearing is a big part of who I am, and
was that? I mean, is that you said early age? I mean, is it birth? Is
there
an event that happened or something?
Yeah, it's a birth. My mom didn't find out until I was 3.
Okay.
So, toddlers should be talking or responding when you're talking to them.
Yeah.
Especially so they're noticing my response rate was really low. If I got checked, sure enough, I had severe to moderate hearing loss, which is pretty much 40 to 60% hearing loss. What's considered normal.
Okay.
Great thing was my mom was on welfare at the time, and we qualified for a grant for me from 3 to 21 free hearing aids every 2 years.
Oh, really? Okay.
And if you know people who know how expensive hearing aids are, like mine that I have right now, are Bluetooth, and they're about like $4 to $5K a pop.
Dang, dude, that's great. And what's the shelf life on these 4 to 5K little?
They're pretty strong,
commodities that are in your body.
I never taken care of my hearing aids because of the being blessed with that program.
Yeah.
But now that I'm out of it, I'm older. The ones I do have been great. I mean, they and the technology has just been, over 20 years. It's insane. Yeah. So the moisture thing was the biggest problem, right? Yeah. And now with actually, it's funny. Okinawa, when I was in Okinawa, I couldn't wear my hearing aids because it was so darn hot in the summer.
Oh, really? Oh, you went to Okinawa?
Yeah,
dude, we have so much to talk about. One of my favorite places on earth.
That was.
That's where Nako's from?
Yeah,
from Okinawa?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Obviously, she's from Japan. I didn't know if you knew she was from the islands.
Yeah, I had a great. Okinawa was a great trip. I took the car. I'm sorry, jumping sidetracking here, but I took the car around the whole island.
Sidetracked to Okinawa all you want, bro. Yeah. I'll freaking stay here. Jiu-jitsu's done. Yes. We're going to Okinawa.
We'll have to do that. No, that was a really cool experience, but
anyway, hearing aids. Sorry about that.
So
the moisture, the tropical air. I mean, dude, it will. Yeah, it'll eat your clothes. It'll eat your cars. It'll eat basically
intense,
everything.
Man. I've never been to South Pacific heat like that.
Yeah, dude, it's the real deal, bro. It's the real deal. She grew up on an off island called Kume. I think we were talking about that because
I think I tried to go to that island.
Did you? You should. It's amazing. And it was untouched by the war, essentially.
Really?
Yeah, for a while there was an Air Force contingent there, like in the 50s or something. And now there's a Japanese Self-Defense Force contingent, a small group. When I say contingent, I'm talking about a couple of men that are up on like a radar station or something at the top of it. But you can get up on the top of the hill. There's an old abandoned castle there called Uegusku.
Oh, that's awesome.
You can see the whole island.
Oh, that's
and there's some reefs and stuff, which are just amazing. The people are so cool, dude. Everything about it. I could live there in a heartbeat.
Dude, I can too.
Yeah.
Is that the where the aomori comes from?
That's where the aomori that I was telling you about comes from. Yeah. I mean, obviously each one has their own spot, kind of like soba, like each little area has their own sort of like flavor of ramen or whatnot. Aomori is very similar, but
those islands they have a technique. I have a buddy who made a company out of it. One of those islands, his wife was from there, and something about the water and the sugar cane they use or something.
Interesting.
Their ingredients. And I think Okinawa is one of those, what do they call it? One of those areas where people live a lot longer.
Yeah.
Anyway,
statistically, they have more centurions or something like that per capita than most places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
A small island.
Well, we got to table that one because that's something we got to come back. I got some other stuff to talk to you about with that too.
Yeah, so maybe I'll get us up to speed on the hearing loss and
before we completely go off course.
Yeah, hearing loss. So obviously, got my hearing aids.
Yeah,
3.
Yeah,
most likely I get put in deaf school.
What is the difference between? I mean, like, where's the threshold between being considered like deaf and just hearing impaired, or needing hearing aids, or whatever the terminology would be?
That's a good question. I mean, I think it gets to a certain level where you would be considered deaf, where the hearing aids don't work anymore. But the technology is so powerful that they could probably bring it up.
Really?
You can, it's like a microphone. You can just ramp up the volume,
kind of the gain
and
or
stuff.
whatnot. And you're doing this like the hearing aids that you've got now, you're controlling these with your phone or like?
Yes. Yeah, I can.
Dude,
It's great. It's pretty much AirPods.
Wow, that's amazing.
Hearing AirPods and yeah, no, it's great. It's transited. The new technology has been so life changing for me, especially with work, with real estate, taking the phone calls, my hearing aids, and everything. Because I used to have to do like putting a phone next to my hearing aid. I used to have like a telephone button on the old hearing aids.
Oh, really?
Right. So it's it's clunky. You put a phone next to it, it's hard to hear, hard to talk.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to the hearing aid, it's going to the ear canal. But with the Bluetooth, it goes right into my ear canal, which is great. Wow.
That's awesome, man. That's cool.
Music, all kind of stuff.
So what was it like growing up? I mean, essentially, probably having to wear hearing aids at school and whatnot. I'm assuming
it was in the beginning. It was not a big deal, elementary school. Started becoming an issue for me when I started getting more to high school. I was always insecure about it when I was younger because I got put in. I was in deaf school and then I started mocking the deaf kids' speech, which my mom did not like, obviously. And she's like, okay, this is a problem. He's mimicking deaf speech. So they got me qualified for gen ed, which is a big leap from, I didn't talk from 3 to 5. And I was able to get caught up to that and get into general ed. So I was with all my friends, but for the most part, it wasn't a big deal. It started becoming an issue. So when I started getting services for hearing, and with services, you kind of get you have to, the teacher has to wear this like box thing that goes to your hearing aids. You're far from class. You have to sit up in front of the class. You have these specialists telling you, you need to go do this, do that. It's good for your education, all this stuff. But you're standing out, in class. Yeah. Why? Okay. When Chaz is in class, teacher has to wear a box around her, neck, and all this stuff. And I hated that. Oh, I see. I hated being, because I just wanted to fit in. That's all you want to do when you're a kid. And
dude, kids freak out about their socks, man. So imagine having this new thing, especially something that affects other people, like a teacher that has to have some apparatus around it. Was it like a microphone or like
pretty much. Okay. So it kind of is a microphone from her, and then it go to straight to my hearing aid.
Okay, I got you.
So you could hear it clear. It's great. Utilizing wise would be phenomenal. Maybe if it's a 101 class or something. But you're a kid. You don't really care about the class anyways. Yeah. And it's like the last thing. It's like, I don't even want to listen to the teacher. So
you just want to fit in. You want to have friends. You want to grow up. You want to be normal.
Exactly, basically. Be normal, really. And I got made fun of a lot. There's a fine line between my friends that know me. It's fun to make fun. I love it. And I know when someone's being real about it or really trying to, be malicious about it as well. And so I had a lot of malicious stuff, just older kids being older kids and just pick on, they're going to find something. Yeah. So, I went through a few of those instances and then, my friend groups have always really been the people who never saw the hearing aids. Never really they always just kind of accepted me, just for who I was. Yeah. And so I have very huge mix of friends growing up, just kind of like, hey, I like you like me, let's hang out kind of thing. And, so, but, as you get older, you get other insecurities and, surfing was kind of a way for me to kind of set myself apart. So I got into surfing. My grandfather surfed, my dad surfed. We'd go all the time.
Classic California.
Yeah, it's great. I grew up doing that and loved it. And didn't wear hearing aids. And what's kind of cool, out on the water, I could hear better because the sound bounces off the water. So on the water, I never had trouble hearing. So I really liked being out there. It felt freeing not to have the hearing aids on me. Obviously, that was never an issue. I never had people looking at me differently or talk to me differently. With my hearing, I did become hyper aware to body language was a big thing to me. Always constantly relying on body language because a lot of times, especially in school, it's like I can't hear that. Yeah. You're not catching everything. Yeah. So I'm really relying.
Even with hearing aids.
Yeah, yeah. Especially if you're turning around and talking. Mm-hmm. The hearing aids are better now, but back then it just wasn't the same. It's kind of like I just felt like you're like kind of underwater kind of feeling sometimes.
Yeah, gotcha.
And so I really relied heavily on that and how people talk to me, how they respond. And that's carried with me to this day. And I think that's what actually has helped me with my current job in real estate. I'm able to read people pretty quickly. I'm not showing. I know when to not push, just those kind of things that come with body language. And so surfing kind of gave me this sense of kind of standing out, just in my core group. It's like I was one of the few surfers in our area.
How old were you when you started surfing?
Started surfing consistently around 11.
Dang, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah, so
The ocean's an intimidating place, man. I can't imagine being 11 out there, like floating out beyond the surf.
I've had some.
Who taught you how?
My grandfather.
Dang, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, so he's a big.
That's so cool. That sounds like a Huntington Beach story right there, man. My grandfather took me out to surf.
I've had some, and I've had a lot of life, plenty of times where I thought I was going to die, underwater. You're a little kid, you can only hold your breath for so long. And that's kind of one of those things, too, when we got in high school, if it's big surf, you're going out there. It's like the cool thing to do, and it's like, this could be 10 feet or whatever. And you're like, what am I doing out here? There's no lifeguard that's going to get you, man.
Yeah, man, for sure. I mean, presumably you were a good swimmer and whatnot, or did you just, hey, let's go?
Yeah, you learn, and swimming comes with the surf. You learn, how to swim and how to swim properly when you're out in the ocean, especially like if you get thrown down deep. I'd say it's a big day, and you get that you're in the whitewash, right? And the worst is you can't see. Like if you're closing your eyes and if it starts getting darker, you're going down. Kind of thing. And so sometimes you get thrown around and you start swimming and you touch the bottom and you're like, oh my God, I'm at the bottom. I thought I was going to the top. So you flip around and kick up and,
dude,
and you get your head out and then the next wave hits you and you're just so
you just got to fight through it.
Yeah, it's actually, I never really thought about it. It kind of makes you, it definitely made me mentally tougher.
Yeah.
Deal with when you can't catch your breath and you see that next wave and you're out way too far and you don't get your board. It is not,
that'd be pretty intimidating, man, especially as a young person.
Yeah.
11, 12, 13. Even as an adult, I would, not afraid to admit, I'm a little intimidated by just swimming out beyond the surf in the cold Pacific,
Yes. Yeah. It can be. Yeah. Most of the time it's small, so you're good.
That's cool, man.
So, so pretty much, I get in that. And so that kind of helped me. Middle school was good. And then I went ahead and, I was getting to high school. So this kind of puts me into my jiu-jitsu journey, really kind of pushed me to do it, was, I did a few sports and did martial arts before that. But so going to high school, I lived in a different school district, or not same school district, but different school that I wanted to go to. So I really wanted to go to Huntington Beach High School, which was right by the water. It's like a 100-year-old school. My dad went there. Really well known for a great surf club, and I really loved surfing at the time. So I wanted to go to the surf class. They also had a deaf program, so I could get a lot of my services there. So I was able to freely transfer to the school with not to submit anything. It was just an easy transfer because of my disability and all that, which is great. And I got to take sign language again, so I could take that as a second language and all that. But when I got to high school, I didn't have any friends because it's a different school. So I just kind of got in there and I thought, well, I've been surfing. I feel like I'm good at surfing. I get in there and I only longboarded at the time because that's what my grandfather did, my dad. And I learned quickly that longboarding is not a cool thing to be.
Oh, is that right? Is it considered like an old man thing?
Yeah, and unless you are
out of date or
phenomenal at it, and I mean like competitive phenomenal at it, like the coach wouldn't even let you do it. Like he came to me and the coach was he was an interesting character, but he would, I remember he coming up to me one day and he's just like, he's pretty much a jerk, but he's just like, you're not like, stop riding that. You need to get a shortboard kind of thing. I was like, okay. So I finally got a shortboard, and I remember sitting in the sand. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning and all these kids come up and all these kids know each other. Yeah. They've been surfing with each other since they were, 5.
Yeah, probably went to the network together too, elementary, middle.
Yes, everything. Yeah. And so I'm here and these guys shred. I mean, these kids are sponsored. They're the best surfers in town. Mm-hmm. And here I am with my longboard like a complete loser. I'm not making any friends.
Yeah, total outcast.
Yeah. And so I remember getting my shortboard and trying to learn how to shortboard, and that took forever and just terrible. And it's just, it was tough because it was like I was just a loser. I was like straight loser. And when it came to that,
is it just that different?
Oh, it's massively different.
Is it massively different? Okay. I mean, I can understand why. I mean, presumably it's much less buoyant and probably more difficult to balance on, and et cetera, et cetera.
It's completely
Somebody out there that's an excellent surfer is like, dude, you're an idiot. Stop talking, Dave. let Chaz handle the surf to talk.
No, that's a good question.
I'm like longboard, surf, shortboard.
No, especially so Huntington Beach has a pier. Huntington Beach Pier, and it's definitely a faster break for shortboarding.
Okay.
And the longboarding, it just when it doesn't. Some days you can pull it off, but in most cases you need a shortboard. It's very quick. You know, you need to get in and out, and you ride right next to the pier as well. So it's definitely a shortboarding place, and that's where we used to do our classes at. And surfing took the place of PE.
Okay.
So that was great. You know,
that makes sense.
Surf class.
Heck of a lot better than doing squat thrusts and, you know, knee push-ups and stuff.
Oh my gosh. It was, I mean, all we had to do, which was the worst part, is they'd make us run, you know, like 3 towers. And then from that last tower, you'd have to jump in the water and paddle all the way around the pier.
Okay.
And go around. I remember that being really intimidating when I was like 14 because I'd never even been that, because it's way past the break.
Mm-hmm. And
you're in these big waters. By the time you make it to the pier, you're exhausted because I'm on this stupid shortboard on my head that doesn't paddle as fast.
Yeah.
And I remember being next to these pilings. You're just looking up and just several stories high. And you're kind of like doing this, like, you know, water's flowing in and out, and you're like, gosh, man, I'm with the fish out here.
Dude, that's crazy.
You know,
that's what I'm talking about. It's super intimidating.
And so that was but you know, part of that really encouraged, because I was so outcasted, and I wanted to fit in so bad. And I think maybe I thought my hearing aids were, you know, preventing me from doing that. And now as I'm older, I know it really wasn't, but it definitely stunted my confidence and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
So I really sought after, you know, freshman year, I did a police and fire explorer program. I got into that, which was great. Taught me a lot of my discipline, a lot of my, I wanted to be a firefighter. At the time, my grandfather and my uncle were firefighters. And so I got in that program that taught me, it was around all the police officers, firefighters. I got to do all, like, you know, the live fires. I got to do the rappelling. I went through that whole program, but I was around a lot of, obviously police officer, firefighters, and older guys around me.
Yeah.
So it was a really good experience for me maturity wise. And I do events every weekend. And so I got to be around other peers that were much older than me. And I think that helped me grow, mature a little bit faster than I would have been if I was just, you know, hanging out and surfing with all the other, you know, groups that I wanted to be with.
Yeah. The Explorer program, I mean, it's kind of known for that, right? I mean, it's a step above Boy Scouts, I think. Like probably hierarchically as well. And it is more, you're dealing directly with the cops or directly with the firefighters or whatnot. And, you know, having a good 25-year-old mentor that's, you know, that's in there picking up fire hoses all day. I mean, that's a heck of a lot better than trying to
I learned so many life skills.
Yeah.
They would do like resumes. They would teach about credit cards, and then they would like how to get, you know, hired, and then
that up.
It was really, I mean, I still use a lot of, you know, what I learned from that today.
Yeah. We've been talking about that. Like, we just kind of local groups of friends that high school should have that, like, you know, the use of credit, the creation of credit, etc. Yeah. Sorry. Allergies in Texas are legit.
Yes.
They are real.
So so back to the high school thing. This is how I get into jiu-jitsu. It's still a loser. I'm in the program. I don't live close by, so I don't really hang out with any of the kids. And
big of tritters.
What's that?
Big of tritters.
Yeah. So I get into a martial art called Hara Ringdo. So I'm getting to this point. I think I was at school and I saw someone get in a fight. I was like, you know what? Maybe if I can hold my own, maybe I'll be acknowledged. If I can confidently walk around knowing that I can take care of myself, you know, physically, if I got in an altercation. So I sought out this martial art called Hara Ringdo. It was kind of a mix of Taekwondo, Aikido, Judo. So I learned a lot of my movements from there. Break balls, all this stuff. It was great, actually. It's really good.
Is it Japanese?
I think it was Korean.
Okay, cool.
And it's great. It was good, but it wasn't really like, you never got to put it to practice, right? Like jiu-jitsu. And I'm in, I think it was a history class junior year. This is a funny story. So I get in this class and I sit down, and it's kind of like this auditorium style. So you're kind of, you know, more college, which wasn't really common, but it was an older school. So they had that. And I remember sitting down, these 2 kids sit next to me, and they asked to copy my homework. And the 2 people sitting next to me, it's one of the most popular surfers guy. Really nice guy, Jimmy. Love Jimmy. Still talking to him today. And then Cody, who's now black belt. He's the one who got me into jiu-jitsu. And so he says, I mean, he was like the Mr. Cool. Just like every party, he was, the main show.
Yeah, he's the guy.
And I remember them asking me homework. And I never cared if someone copied my homework, but I just didn't want to get caught. And they'd always ask to copy my homework in class in front of the teacher. It drove me nuts. I was just like, dude, it stressed me out. But I wasn't going to say no. I'm like, here's my chance to actually like fit in.
Yeah, man.
I can actually
they need
talk
you
to
more
them.
than you need them.
Yes.
Finally.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I remember.
I know that feeling.
So one day I'm like, I'm over this. So I've given my homework. So I just made copies of it. Just scanned it. And I seriously would, before class, I would just hand them a paper. I wouldn't say anything, just hand paper. Here you go. And we'd sit down and they'd be next to me and they'd be scribbling down all my stuff. And so we built a relationship off of that. And which is great because I got really good friends with Jimmy, and then that kind of helped me get with the surfing crowd a little bit more. That grew. But Cody, one day he was like, he's kind of like, hey, you should come. We headed off to come part with me, and blah blah. So we started doing that. And then he's like, I do jiu-jitsu. And he started talking about the jiu-jitsu thing. I was like, oh really? That's really cool. And I started thinking about it. And then one day, the history teacher, he used to wrestle. And Cody would always just, just antagonize people because he walked around. He was a phenomenal blue belt. I didn't know at the time.
Already a blue belt.
Yeah, at 16.
Wow. Okay, cool. So he'd probably come up in the kids program, and they were just waiting for his birthday.
Exactly. So we're in class, and all of a sudden I see Cody down at where the professor is at, the teacher, and they're kind of like joking, kind of talking a little smack to each other. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, tables, chairs start moving, and they're straight up grappling in class.
This is school, or this is
school?
Okay.
This is in history class.
Dang.
And Cody throws a flying triangle on him because he's known for his triangles. Has a full lock triangle on this guy. This wrestling coach takes Cody, slams him against the wall, and slams him on the table. He lets go his triangle. And they both get up laughing, and they're like, "Oh, that's cool," because they were saying who was better, jiu-jitsu or wrestling. That's what their bickering was.
Okay.
And I remember seeing that, being like, "What just happened?"
Yeah, dude.
Like,
that's
who?
Interesting exchange.
A teacher and a student just did all that, and then they're just laughing as if nothing happened. And I was like, "Okay, dude, I gotta check out this jiu-jitsu thing." And
so that's the intro.
That was the intro. Sorry, it was a really long one, but
no, that's cool. It's always everybody's got an on ramp.
Yeah.
To the addiction.
Yes.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. So where'd you start training?
So I asked around.
This is 06? 06?
Yeah,
okay.
06 should be. My time frame's a little bit off, but I trained, I think, 6 months later. I started around, I guess, was it junior year is 16 to 17?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So I guess I started 17 that summer.
Okay, cool.
And,
it's a good age to start.
Yeah.
You're already strong. You're already, kind of who you're going to be. You're not a little
exactly.
kid.
Yeah, no, it's
dodgeball's over. Now it's time for the deep end.
Yeah, I'm glad I started when I did. It was I was coming to myself, and as far as where I trained at, so now Huntington Beach is just filled with jiu-jitsu gyms. But at the time, I was asking around. I didn't want to go to the same gym as Cody because we weren't friends yet, really close friends. And so I kind of wanted to show off. In my head, I was like, okay, maybe I can go to a gym that he's not training at and then beat him.
Yeah, come back and
and and get that respect. We kind of do that still to this day. Even in the gyms. And I remember looking at this one gym that where Tito Ortiz and all those other guys trained at. And
that's right, the Huntington Beach bad boy. I kind of forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they had a
06. Oh my God. Yeah, he was huge then, dude. Man. Yeah, he was on the Ultimate Fighter, I think, is one of the coaches.
So my professor,
him and Chuck Liddell.
Yes.
Oh, dude, I forgot about that. It was an interesting time, man, in Huntington Beach.
Do you remember the jiu-jitsu coach for Tito?
Probably if I saw him, yeah.
So that's a gym that I eventually get to. It was Club Luciano.
Okay.
And anyways, I tried to go to Tito's gym, or where he trained out of. And my cousin at the time was really my mom's cousin. I didn't know that he did jiu-jitsu, and kind of word was going around the family. Like, Chaz trying to get into jiu-jitsu. Jimmy does jiu-jitsu. you should ask Jimmy. So Jimmy, I told him that, I was thinking about Tito's gym and stuff. And he goes, Chaz, you don't want to go there. He goes, you need to go to Kleber's. And that's where Cody trained. That's where everyone trained at Demetrius, really.
Okay.
And Kleber happened to be seriously across the street from me, my house. And so I went there and I signed up and I joined at a really fun time because I was there for the first 6 months was like all Kleber's brown belts that were going to get black belts within that year.
Okay.
And so that was a really cool experience to see. And
was this like his first generation of black belts or
no, second?
Okay.
Second, but it's like cool. Big. He's been there since I think 93. So Kleber Luciano's under Hoyler and Hickson, I believe.
Pretty good lineage.
Yeah, and Hoyler, I think mainly Hoyler, and Hoyler would come in all the time.
That's awesome, man.
And do seminars, and so I got a really good.
I mean, talk about straight from the source, man.
Oh man,
one of
it
Bailey's
was.
kids. I mean,
So
part of the revolution right there, and the evolution. I mean, I got a ton of respect for that.
Well, I have a lot more respect now, looking back at at the time sometimes it seemed boring. Yeah. But the focus on fundamentals with Kleber, because it was a Gracie, lineage. I mean, I still use a lot of stuff today, but it's like I look now with the Wolverine, I'm looking back at all that. I'm like, hey, what did I learn as a white belt? Yeah. I'm like, what did really help? Like all the fancy stuff, we never did that. Yeah. And now it's like, I'm like, okay, those are the drills you used to do. Oh, yeah, those are,
I know. Dude, I drove from Fort Lauderdale, where I was living, up to Daytona Beach. So like a 3 or 4 hour drive to a Hickson seminar. There wasn't many people. It was probably 30 people. I mean, that's a small turnout for Hickson Gracie, dude. Something else was going on. There was a story. I don't remember what it was. And I'd heard about it from my teacher because we were a Gracie, kind of lineage as well. And he taught guard retention and base when you're in the guard. That was it, and I use the stuff to this day. And
that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, like it was like you're wanting to learn something where you're going to get off the ground and levitate or something because it's Hickson, or something super fancy where you're going to invert or whatnot. Those are all good. Not everybody can even do it, number one. But if you can do it, but you don't know how to like get a good solid base or keep somebody in guard or what the purpose of guard is, I mean, like you're missing so much of the essence, So to get that experience at I guess a white belt, I'm sure that's where you're at.
Yeah, no,
or a blue belt or whatever. I mean, that's valuable, invaluable.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the first just 3 years of knee slice and all your basic passing and guards. Very simple. Yeah. Very effective. And then obviously grew from there. Experimenting and all that stuff. And then, I mean, I was fortunate to be with a group of white belts. Kind of keep yourself. That's what I'm saying with my gym right now. When you join with them, I'm sure when you're a white belt too, and a lot of people out there. You kind of join at the same time. Yeah. There's other people, and the people who stick with it, they're kind of like your rival. And you kind of, they're kind of a good meter to test, okay, where am I at? Are they getting too far away from me? Are they getting, right. Those kind of things. Right. And so I had a few of those that kept me very motivated, and I was hooked, man. I mean, jiu-jitsu became my identity because when I got into jiu-jitsu, we would go to parties, right? So just back to high school. So this really changed. And I think this is what hooked me big time was we did jiu-jitsu now. Now I'm with Cody and with all my other friends who do jiu-jitsu. And a lot of the partiers, they're all in the same gym and good. And we show up at parties and it's like, we were the,
the jiu-jitsu surfers.
Yeah, I mean,
I've heard of you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we walk into parties and the surfers, I say, were there, but they were really, fish out of water in a sense because they're cool in the water. They got got all girls and all this stuff. You're not at school and you see them at party and they're in the corner. Yeah. And then we know how to interact. Yeah. And here we are. It's like if something happens, pops off, we're fine. Yeah, dude, for sure. That's cool. I got a lot of respect from that, and I think that's really what kind of was like, man, this is so cool. And it's the first time I really got to experience. Yeah. And then no, that's just high school, right?
Yeah. So you started in high school. Did you get promoted while you were in high school, or did you?
I got promoted. I think it was a year in to get my blue.
Okay.
So I think about 18, end of high school. End of high school.
Man, that's rough. Being 18 in a blue belt. I was kind of joking with my son about that. I'm like, because he's gonna wait till wrestling season's up. He's a senior, and then he's gonna start eating again. Number one, and then number two, getting back into jits. But I'm like, dude, this ain't the kids class. That orange and yellow belt you had is over, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Strap the white one on, and welcome to the tank. Yes. As an adult. Yes. That's gonna be rough.
And they're not easy on the adults and familiars, man.
I know.
I don't care if
you can't be with a kid either. Like that's like, like we've got a couple that I found out were like 19 or something. I'm like, ooh, I'm so sorry. But you know what I mean? Like I had to defend myself, like they're a white belt, but they're freaking strong and the energy never goes. And I could sense that. I'm like, dude, this is going to end. I'm not going one more minute with you.
Yes.
It's crazy. That's crazy. So when you graduated high school, what'd you do?
So I went to college.
New blue belt. Went to college, I guess.
Yeah, I was really focused on jiu-jitsu, so I got junior or community college, and I did my entire. It was awesome because you can pick your schedule. Yeah. Not just trying to get by. I didn't care anything about school. My parents didn't go to college. I had no guidance, what to take or anything. Looking back, I really wish I did. So I really focused just on jiu-jitsu, really. So I went so when college happened, I could, schedule my classes in the middle of the day. And I would train every morning.
You're building your college schedule around jiu-jitsu class.
For sure, man. It was all about
crazy, dude.
And whatever easy classes I can get.
That's cool.
Then, so I trained in the morning. I was really fortunate. So I had this one training partner. He was a purple, brown, and I was a blue. And we drilled every morning.
Oh, man.
And we had
lucky.
One black belt who would sit there. His name was Chewy. And he was just a true coach, true mentor.
Wow.
And we would just experiment. We would do new things and drill over and over and over. And then we'd just play with the moves.
Really?
And a lot of what I use in my game today, I still use from that time. Yeah. And just recently in September at a seminar private with Octavio and Mark.
Okay.
And Octavio gave me, I had a question on collar sleeve because that's a big part of my game. And I asked him for theory, and he really broke it down to me, and it just unlocked everything for me on that position. And it really changed. I feel like I went, and this is just a recent, last 6 months, my game's changed phenomenally for what I wanted. I've been looking for this because it kind of gave me that understanding of when to use it, when not to use it. Yeah. And so that was very powerful. So I really perfected it as a blue, and I feel like, my blue belt, I would have a hard time with my blue belt today. Yeah. With the guard and all this stuff. But so we got to do that. And then I would, I'd drill all in the morning, and then at night I would go test it all. Yeah. With the night class.
Dude, that's crazy.
And I did that from 18 to 20. Okay. Pretty heavily, and then I
so are you just committed to jiu-jitsu? Is there an end game with jiu-jitsu or something, or I was 2 times a day,
that's all I wanted to do. Yeah. It was
drilling. A lot of people don't even drill.
Yeah, I know.
Because they don't know how valuable it is, and also they don't have the time.
The time's really the thing, right?
That is the thing, because you want to get in there, you want to train, and that's what the class is doing too. So you have to make time to do it. So if you're getting that every single day, that actually explains quite a bit.
Has accountability. It takes 2 people. And the person I did was there every day. And
was your partner your size? Were you that fortunate?
No, he was I would say probably 168 to 180. Okay.
What are you at that time? 140 maybe? Or?
Yeah, probably 145. And then same height, so it wasn't too off. Okay. I wouldn't go against him, but
dude, what a blessing. When you look back at think about how valuable that is.
I
was having a conversation about that today, actually, with the guy. Really? Yeah, he trains out at Argyle. His name's Spencer. He and I were going back and forth, and I was like, dude, anytime you want to drill, he teaches a drilling class, and I'm like, I'll do technical stand-up for 2 hours if you're doing it, whatever it takes, because he's actually my size, and he's willing. Those 2 things right there. Somebody that can fit you as a partner, but then also is actually available and willing to do it. It's invaluable.
You got it. You got to take advantage of it.
100%.
Because... yeah, I never drilled like I drilled back in that day. Yeah. To this day.
What do you think the what's the attritor there? Why not? You seem happy drilling. Is it just because you don't have the time, or you don't have a partner?
It's a partner.
Or you don't want to?
No, I'd love to. It's more like I'm not going to go out my way to do it. Yeah. I need someone who, the guy who I did it with back in when I was 18, he was always one, we get to class and he was higher belt. Yeah. So it was kind of my, I respected him, looked up to him. He'd be like, okay, we're going to do this. And so I'm going to do it because I love jiu-jitsu. I'll drill it all day. I actually just had this experience as an answered prayer yesterday. The gym circle closed, and I've been looking for an experience like this again. Yeah. What I had in my blue belt days. This black belt walks into our gym because the gyms are closed, and he's a light feather. Yeah. 2nd degree. And I'm like, where have you been? And I'm this guy. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a black belt that's
don't see that too. I mean, just
in this area. And so, and you know what, and I'm prepping for Saturday. He's competing on Saturday
being Oklahoma,
and
the Oklahoma Open, I guess, whatever it's called.
And so he goes, we're starting to warm up, and he goes, we're doing like basic warm up, like arm bar, like 5 each side, arm bar, triangle, and so he's leading the drill, and it just brought back this flood of memories. I'm like, this is why you do this. Oh my gosh, like my arm bar is so sloppy on just a drill. You know. And then we did positional, and then we rolled like 5 times. And you know, one of the biggest things, especially, you know, being a hobbyist, in between a hobbyist and, you know, I'm not gonna be professional, but I think the biggest thing for me in jiu-jitsu, the biggest joy that I get is when a black belt or someone who I respect and much better than me actually takes the time and wants to train and drill. And he took my number down, and he's like, you know, he has the same problem. He can't find another guy size. For him to even reach out and take my number, I didn't initiate it, was huge. It meant a lot to me. And so it's like, okay, now I get to look forward to that. But I like the fact that it wasn't just we're going to work on stuff. Make refine that, because it's, no one wants to do that. I know, man. I know. I mean, you're a brown belt and a good one, and he's a 2nd degree black belt, right? So like, you have all the knowledge, right? Like, you know what to do, but still there is this kind of unknown going into it. Like, well, what are we going to drill? Oh, I don't know. And like, you know, this gets in your head, and next thing you know, you don't do it, right? Because there's not a script, you know, and that happens with me a lot. You know, I want to go grab somebody. I'm like, oh, dude, I don't know if, you know, Trevor wants to work on arm bars with me while I sit because my knee's messed up or something, you know, and then you just miss out on opportunities. But like, if I was going to go do 5 each side arm bars, I bet you mine would look like terrible, you know, because I don't drill it. And guess what? I also don't get many arm bars. You know, so there you go. There's a lot to drill, right? I mean, it can be, I was overwhelmed. He asked me last night, he goes, you know, I'm going to pick a drill and you pick a drill.
That's awesome.
And I started thinking about it.
What was his?
Just arm bars. He started with arm bars, and then I was like, he did that, and I was like, I'm doing fundamentals. I'm not doing my own thing. I'm like, I don't even know what I want to do. I'm like, I'm going to practice my arm bars. This is perfect. There's no other time I'm going to do my arm bars with someone else. No one's going to do that. And and it was so flowy, easy. Do the triangles. It was like, it was great. I mean, I haven't experienced that since Kleber's.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That little grappling dummy on the floor there has been a buddy of mine. The problem is it's too small, and I can't do like arm bars and triangles with it because arms don't move enough, you know. But that looks so boring to me. Dude, okay, you can do like a variety of different guard passes. I mean, and anything in turtle and whatnot. Like we're talking about this little dummy that I've got. You know what his name is? Mr. Genki. Mr. Genki.
Mr. Danky?
Mr. Genki.
Genki.
Because he's always happy.
Genki, as in like, okay, I got Genki, you. I thought it was going to be Japanese.
The Japanese word, yeah, exactly. Anyway, that shows you how much I need a drilling partner. So if you're listening and you're about 200 pounds and 6'2", then come on out and drill. Anyway, sorry about that. Total sidebar. So 20 years old, jiu-jitsu nonstop. I mean, sounds like some people that I know. Jet comes to mind. Somebody that's training twice a day and is about your side. Yeah, he really is.
He's been teaching me so much, man.
Oh, same
I'm
here.
like, gosh, man. He saw me so frustrated. I was stuck in this donkey guard, and I was extremely frustrated. And I just didn't have I usually don't ask people if they are dominating me in a position how to get out of it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to try to figure out myself. But Jet could tell that, you know, I was obviously having difficulty with it. And he took the time to tell me what to do.
That's cool.
And I was like, wow, Jet. I'm like, that's really helpful, because if I get stuck in this donkey guard in a tournament, like this, now I have a answer to it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Very similar to where you would have been. I mean, I think he's probably 20 or so, maybe even not 20. But purple belt and trains as much as he possibly can.
Yes.
And I know a little bit about what he's studying. So he's probably not, taking basket weaving classes and whatnot just because that works for his jiu-jitsu schedule. Yeah. But it does seem like he might be tailoring his day a bit to the noon class and to the night class.
Might as well.
Heck yeah, dude. I mean, that's awesome. So that's where you're at. Are you a purple belt at this point, or what's
some blue. So Kleber things started to shift in the gym a little bit. Kleber went to the MMA route and started getting less involved. and it kind of demotivated me a little bit. I'm getting, all those black belts start opening up gyms. So the gym's kind of, getting less and less people. I'm getting closer to, let's try to see, I'm getting to the end of college. I really don't know what I'm going to do just yet.
Have you started? Oh, okay. So you don't know what you're doing yet. You don't have a major. You don't have a.
I was going kinesiology. So I got my personal trainer license and all that stuff. But
okay.
My goal was to get, get a black belt one day and open a gym.
Yeah.
That's what my goal was as a blue belt, and then just didn't really see it attainable. And so I think 20. So I had been, I think from 19 to 20 to 21. So I guess it would be that 2010, I think I was.
Okay.
2010, I was, so I stopped. I always was partying and drinking in high school. I never smoked weed or anything like that. And then I found out I couldn't be a police officer or firefighter. That was a big reason why I didn't smoke weed. And I would respect that because I wanted to really become, police fire.
Yeah, I guess the fire explorers, police explorers and whatnot. Was it the hearing impairment or what was it?
Exactly. So when I found out I really couldn't, become a police officer or firefighter because of my hearing, which makes sense, especially a firefighter. I was like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to smoke some weed. I don't care. So I started, and then I got really into jiu-jitsu. And it was really heavy in jiu-jitsu, and it's kind of like the lifestyle culture. So I started smoking weed and just kind of, just really mellow. All I would do is train, do my schoolwork, and hang out with my friends, smoke weed. And nothing really eventful. And I remember I grown up Christian, and then I always had always believed in God and stuff. I remember one day I was like 20, I was just kind of down. I'm like, dude, what am I doing? This is the only New Year's resolution I've cut, by the way. I think it was, I was 20 going into 2011. I remember being like, I want to stop smoking weed. Like, this is so stupid. I never really did it. It's only been doing it. It's like, this is just a waste kind of thing.
Kind of just falling into the culture a little bit.
Yeah. And so I remember praying. I was like, you know what? I want to stop smoking weed. I want to kind of get a hold of myself kind of thing. And, please God, bring me someone around like who I can, who's also Christian that I can get along with. Because usually like church and stuff, I never want to get involved. It just never really was like, it's just awkward. I don't know. It just didn't work out.
Yeah.
And I remember one day I was at this party, and my buddy, a really close friend of mine still this day, is Jordan, and he came to me and he goes, Chaz, he's like, you got to come to me to church. Like, it's a really cool church. You got to check it out. I was like, yeah. I'm like, I'm actually been like, that's like, seriously, like just bringing around like last week, it was like a New Year's party. That's where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe. And so I go to church with him, and it's church that I've never experienced before. It's everyone who's my age, just on fire for Jesus. Just this huge, I never had seen so many people have so much fun without any substance.
Yeah.
And it was really, and this is where I met my wife, and I just went, full, I mean, just really gave my life over, and it really experienced, being born again in a sense. And that kind of unraveled. I started realizing, jiu-jitsu was everything for me. It really was my God and my idol. And I felt like I never really was, because I was doing it for so long. I mean, for that portion of my life was a long time.
Yeah. And
I kind of was like, you know what, and that's when my drive for jiu-jitsu started to dwindle down. And I just went all in there. I'm trying to think. And then I just kind of like, okay, well, maybe, I'll do jiu-jitsu again, kind of thing.
When you say you put jiu-jitsu down, I mean, like, you consciously made a decision, like, I'm going to stop training, or what do you mean?
No, I just didn't train I was training consistently for those 3 years, very much. I started going, 5-6 times a week to 3.
I got you. Okay, so you went from hyper-focused to basically a normal schedule.
Yeah, very plateaued. I wasn't progressing my game, and, I just wasn't, putting effort into it like I was prior. And so I met my wife at the time. Was part of the college group. I think around February of that 2011, and then I got accepted to college for kinesiology, and I didn't have the money for it. So I was like, I'm not going to do a degree. I know it's not going to pay me anything.
Yeah.
And now I was trying to have
go into debt to do it.
Yeah, and like, before I was like so determined for jiu-jitsu, right? And then now I'm, kind of had this like life change moment. I'm like, what am I gonna do with my life? Like, I'm like, right? I'm at a point. I'm like, I did not set myself up well right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to go to college.
How old are you at this time? Probably 22.
20.
20. Okay.
So I turned 21 that April.
Okay, so you're still young, right? I mean, you've still you're just coming to these little moments of self-realization where it's like, ooh.
Yes. Yeah. I'm like, when I can't live my parents.
Where's
forever.
this chapter in the book? I need the manual.
Yes.
And it doesn't exist.
I felt behind big time.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Because I remember my wife and everyone around me. So when I went to the church, you're around so many different types of people, kind of like jiu-jitsu. Yeah. And you're starting to, like, I'm like, dude, everyone has their crap together here. Uh-huh. Like their parents told them to go to this school. Their parents told them to do this, but they all had all this guidance. I just felt like, I'm like, dude,
you don't have that. You're missing it. Yeah.
So this goes into the Bible college in Hungary. So, and the way I put down the gi, I remember, I think around April 21, I just was kind of this point where, like, you know what? I'm just going to do whatever, the Lord tells me, kind of thing. And my buddy signed up for Bible college in Hungary. And Hungary Bible college, the reason why it was accredited. Okay. So you could still, it's like, so it's my justification to my parents.
Okay. Is this like a seminary? Is it some sort of like theological institution or something?
It's through Calvary Chapel. And it's like through their program. So it wasn't really necessarily seminary. Okay. It's really built.
But it's an accredited school, essentially.
Yeah, it's accredited. So you get your, I think, biblical studies if you complete it, which I didn't.
So there's a lot of ifs going on here.
Yeah. So,
but it's in Hungary.
Yeah, it's in Hungary. It's a beautiful campus. It's actually it's actually the campus is made for missionaries. Okay.
Is this in Budapest, Hungary, or is it in another?
Outside Budapest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in countryside, in the middle of nowhere. And you feel like you're in a black and white World War II setting. And people were still post-Soviet, post-communist, straight Eastern European.
Yeah, I know a lot of people from Hungary. Surprisingly, I just have a lot of Hungarian friends, and some look back longingly and miss it, and others were like, dude, have some really terrifying stories of how they got out of there in the 90s.
Oh, I'm sure. When the curtain fell?
Yeah.
Oh, big time. It's crazy. Good stories.
I mean, so that's a decade later. I mean, think about where you were at in 2012. Doesn't seem like that long ago, right? So are you going to...
That's a really good point.
Are you going to let go of those affinities, right? So imagine how they must feel, or I guess that would have been 20 years from there, but it's still the same generation. You're not even a generation removed really yet from basic, like, complete communist control.
Well, I remember going into Serbia. We went there to help, and I felt like I went back and like it was like, I think they had a war there. I don't know. And it was like, we went there to go help some people, and it felt so behind. I remember, like, I know the third world, Mexico, or some other places, but this was like weird. It was kind of like,
you're in Europe, man. You're on the continent. Things shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're kind of like, well, I was just across a border, and everything's fine here, but I crossed this little border here, and it looks like people. I'm like, I don't even know how people are living.
It's crazy. It's crazy, man. Yeah. How long were you in Hungary?
I went that summer for about 3.5 months. I was supposed to be there for 2 years. Okay. Went there, hated it. Absolutely hated it. There's nothing worse than let me take that back. I realized quick. So when I was with back home, I could go to church and leave and come back. Yeah. And when you're living with a bunch of Christians,
you're a captive.
Oh man.
I mean, it's a captive audience.
Yeah,
in other words,
it's like you really, like, I'm a very real person. I hope to be, and I try to be, and especially with my faith too. And I know my flaws. And I know and then going there, being around all those people and these expectations, and everyone has and this is a international campus, mind you. Mm-hmm. So people from India, London, all over Europe, the States, South Africa, and I just felt like I couldn't be myself without having this, like, finger being pointed at you, really, kind of thing.
Was it not advertised that way, or was it just like sometimes you just need to experience it?
It's just experience, And I think a lot of people too, that's all they know. Yeah. And I started seeing that. I'm like, I don't want that, man. I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. Like, I mean, I'm just not called for it, at least right now. But it was a great takeaway. I met one of my best friends. He passed away. He got in a car accident. But some of my biggest because you go through a lot. When you're just upset and depressed, you're like, why am I doing this? And then you got the whole Christian thing. You shouldn't be feeling, it's just kind of a mix of stuff.
Yeah, especially when you're supposed to be there, kind of enriching yourself with that. And, what would the outcome have been after 2 years of Hungarian Bible college?
I was supposed to do 2 years.
I know, but
what would the outcome?
What would the outcome have been? Like, I
Nothing.
mean, stay there or?
No, and most people just, I mean,
Or do
you take a degree and
pastor,
I guess
or?
I mean,
Okay.
I didn't want to be pastor or anything like that. It was an excuse to get out of the country for me.
You needed to find a swing on, it sounds like. And
yeah.
Okay.
And the justification was I could at least get accreditation for it.
Not to mention a pretty meaningful life experience. I mean, to go to Eastern Europe and spend any amount of time, even 3 months, I mean, that's a pretty considerable life experience. You know, I've never been over there for that prolonged amount of time. I've been there, you know, several times, but never for like, to live. Yeah, dude, the sun comes up and down enough. I mean, you start to feel lonely, man. I mean, you're on an island.
Well, and you're out in the middle of nowhere. So Budapest was like 2 hours away.
Oh, wow. That far out.
We're country. Okay. There's nothing out there.
This is more outside,
straight up. You can't even drive or walk to anything. And so you're just stuck with all these people on this. It's a big campus. But, I mean, the best thing is I got to see a lot of the surrounding countries. Yeah. And that was really cool. I got to go to Greece during 2012. I guess cool. That was when Greece had just like gotten bankrupt or something like that, whatever their thing was. And that was that was a cool experience. It was really depressing to see everyone. So the government like took their money out of their bank account. This one lady we stayed with, she had like a $200K and they took all of it. Yeah. And I remember just like, what? The government can just take all your money out of your bank account? Yeah. It's kind of scary. Everyone worked for the government in Greece.
Yeah, it's actually not even that uncommon. I mean, you could find very similar stories, and like we had a lot of Venezuelan friends in South Florida, and during the time that we were in South Florida, Venezuela went through, you know, massive changes, and the economy basically went from one that was thriving and full of just affluent people that were normal, just like you and I, man. They had a job. Hey, look, I'm not thinking too much about who's sitting in the chair, to like straight up corrupt third world, going down to the canal to fill up fuel cans full of water so you can bathe. I mean, dude, I'm talking like in a decade, you know.
It's scary how fast that could turn around.
It is scary how fast. Chile as well, like in the 70s, it was a very similar story. Not that I lived that, but I mean, just reading stories about it. So yeah, I don't know much about the story in Greece other than their financial.
I don't think it's as bad as Venezuela, but it's
but still, fortunes were lost for sure. The company or the country essentially, like you said, it went into bankruptcy and had to get rescued by, you know, a bunch of little sort of savior funds and whatnot.
Exactly. Well, and another thing crazy is all the exodus out of Middle East.
The refugee crisis.
Like kind of gateway.
Yeah.
So we were helping people with that at the time.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool, man. I mean, not cool that that's happening, but it's a really cool mission to be a part of. There's a crisis to this day.
Yeah, no, and you can kind of see why they have the issues they have when you're there. And I remember them doing the riots and the smoke in the streets. We were in the streets for that. And
no
it's
kidding.
Funny, it's coming back to me right now.
This is in Greece?
Yeah, it's in Greece. Wow. So I remember, it was on the news. And again, the guys in the mask and all that stuff.
Dude,
and
that's
doing all
so
that stuff.
hard to imagine.
And I remember, so it's it was one of the best I think the media made it out to be. So yeah, I go to Bible college, hate it, come back, and then I'm trying to figure out what now. And
you're back in Cali?
Yeah, and I met my wife and I started dating July, and I really liked her obviously. And then I left Bible college for 3 months. Now I'm like, I really on date. I knew her from February, started dating around June, July, and so I come back and I'm like, okay, I want to marry her. I have no way again to make money. Yeah. And so I'm just in the dumps, man. I'm like not focused at all mentally. So I get back into jiu-jitsu. I try to get my head on straight. I thought that would help. But I had a really good deal in jiu-jitsu. Prior to that, I was getting a half off price. And came back and they charged me double. And I'm like, I don't even have money for this, you know? Yeah, right. So that was really difficult. And so I didn't really get into it. I was just trying to, figure out how to pay bills and how am I going to marry this woman and
be an adult.
Yeah, and get my own place and all that stuff. And so jiu-jitsu was definitely on the back burner. Tried picking it up. I couldn't find the joy in it because of all that. Yeah. And then, I got married my wife that summer. So probably about a year of knowing each other. We got married and couldn't afford a place. I remember we did this like low income. It was like 400 square feet apartment, and we're looking at it, and my wife had a full down like meltdown.
Oh, really?
Full meltdown and started crying. And I was like,
just like, this is what we're left with, kind of.
Like, this is all we can afford, you know, kind of that realization. It was like, and, you know, we grew up both in very, you know, very middle class.
Yeah.
We had a lot, you know, given to us. So to go from that, you know, we're kids.
Yeah.
My wife's in grad school. She just finished grad school.
What did she study?
Or, I mean, she's a speech pathologist.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah, it's perfect for me who can't. You know, I can hear,
yeah,
so
man,
me out.
Talk about complementary skill sets, you know.
She gives me a lot of grace with not hearing her. So.
Oh, good for her. She seemed like a sweetheart. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to really say hi to her. I saw you guys hanging out, like beautiful family. I'm over there in my zone, right?
You were in your zone, man.
Sorry.
I thought I did something at first. I'm like, no.
He's just being weird.
Yeah.
This is the guy that snapped at me over my hearing, so of course he's an asshole over there in the corner stretching.
Oh, man.
We know that's not true.
No, we do know that's not true.
Anyway, sorry about that.
No, you're
400
good.
square feet.
Yeah, so I ended up, we made a deal with my in-laws. We started living with them, kind of help us out. Got 3 jobs.
Jeez.
I tried to do some more jiu-jitsu, just couldn't really fit in my schedule. And then I was fortunate enough, I met this person when I was engaged at the time. So this was like 6 months prior. And she pretty much was she got me into Kaiser Permanente, which is a big health insurer in California. And that set me up. I mean, I got union, I got really good pay, entry, all benefits covered.
Yeah, massive company too. I mean, this place is huge.
Yeah, and it changed my life. I mean, overnight. And I just did that. I was able to get an apartment, you know, and then I was like, okay, now I get back in jiu-jitsu, you know, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. My wife was going to grad school, and I was kind of like, I didn't want to train at clubbers anymore, even though I was nearby. I just wasn't getting anything out of it. I didn't really know anyone anymore. Everyone kind of filtered out. It had been a couple of years. And I think this is around, I was like 23. Right. So, and mind you, I got back. So I'm sorry I kind of skipped over that. But when I got back from Hungary is when I got my purple belt.
Okay.
So I signed back up, and Clubber just gave me because I was supposed to get my purple belt before I left.
Yeah.
And he didn't give it to me. So I came back and just but I wasn't training. So he hands me this purple belt, and I've been training. And so now I'm like a new purple belt. And I'm like, yeah. And now I have this sense, and I kind of have a history of this, but I'm like, okay, now I got to step it up. I'm going to come to a gym. And I knew I was not going to get it at this gym, at Clever's, unfortunately. And the Mendez brothers had just opened up.
Okay.
In Costa Mesa.
How far is Costa Mesa?
Costa Mesa is the next city over-ish. They're big cities, but so it's about like 25 minutes away, street.
Okay. I mean, compared to what you do now, I mean, that's basically a hop, skip, and a jump, you know?
It's just, there's only like one freeway, the 405 really, and it doesn't really take you to, they're just by the coast, so you just kind of take PCH over. That was an interesting experience. So I get there, you know, AOJ, brand new, beautiful gym. I mean, all the amenities, they wash your gi for you.
Oh, wow. Full service. This is
showers. And showers were not a thing at gyms in California.
Which is a shame. They should be a thing everywhere.
Yeah, they really should.
Yeah, because staff sucks.
Yeah, that's why I love Formigos.
Yeah, no kidding. It's great. Exactly.
Especially for us.
Put together. Yeah, no, for sure.
And
I've been to those that are like where hygiene is not a priority though, and it's once you go to the good side, then it's hard to ever go back. You're like, oh no. Yeah.
I remember Mark made the shower at the Wolverine. That was like a big priority for him.
Heck yeah,
I was like, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So this comes into the reason why I was going to bring up AJ is mainly this is what actually made me really stop jiu-jitsu. So I'm purple belt. I got to pick up my game, all that stuff, and.
Now, did you just not feel like you could pick up your game where you were at? Is that why you went to find Mendez? And
you know what? I think I always had the sense of like I want to be the best I can be.
Yeah. Is AOJ a big name back then? I mean, had it already?
The Mendez were, because Rafael was winning everying.
Okay. So if you're paying attention to that stuff, then
if you're following the circuit, I mean, he was, and innovating the game and everything, and he was kind of on his, not retiring, but I think he kind of stopped in 2016. So it's 2012, 2023.
Okay, cool. So he's in his prime.
Yeah, and so and
so it's worth it for you to go over there and get next level.
I thought it was.
Yeah, okay.
You know, and a lot of people left their gyms when they came in town.
Really?
And so we get there, and I've never been a part of a gym or been watching a gym. So cliquey in my entire life.
Oh, really?
Which is, I mean, it's naturally happens. You have a bunch of people leaving gyms.
Yeah.
They all know each other, so they're gonna group together because they know each other. You know, and so it's not this kind of like, it's not this one big family. You have this whole blended family kind of feel.
Yeah.
Because they don't really have their own students yet. and the students they do have are the top competitors, and they get all the the special attention, which they should, in a sense, and that's kind of what they were there for. And so that felt very out of place. My skill level was so far below everyone else. It was insane. Yeah. The level that was coming out of that gym was unreal. I never experienced anything like it before. Yeah. And,
when you say that, do you mean like purple to purple, or do you mean?
Yeah, I mean the purple belts.
Or brown to brown, or whatever the comparable would be.
I'd say I'm purple. Yeah. Like I was pretty much rolling at like a new blue in their gym.
Yeah. So like that is I mean, it's not a problem, but it's an issue that just is like in front of everybody has to go through this at some point. Like I know I have as well, where like it's impossible not to compare yourself to the other person. That's what's cool about a tournament, is that's going to be the comparison right there. Like you'll know, did I give him my best or not? Did I get killed, win or lose? Like, was this a competitive match? But like there's a big difference between like you training as a blue belt, for example, or even a purple belt, where you're going in the mornings to drill over and over and over and over and over again, and then going and rolling at night. I bet you were crushing people, dude.
It was
and
great.
Then if you've got a let's call it a 26-year-old career W2 guy that's coming in and getting his 2 to 3 times a week, and he's a blue belt, 150 pounds, and whatever your age, and dude, you would mow him over. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he's still a blue belt, right? And it's so hard for that guy to not go home and be like, oh my God, I'm just going to quit because I suck. Yeah. But you don't, it's just that it's the wrong comparison. And if you go into a place like Art of Jiu-Jitsu or AOJ, which I never knew them for the competition scene because I never really cared about that. But I knew them from their videos and from like the cleanliness of their academy and whatnot, because it's beautiful. From what I understand, I've never been there, but it's like white walls, white everything. I mean, it looks like a temple almost.
Yeah. The mats are amazing. The soil's nice.
I can see that being a tough comparison. Yeah. Especially if you're used to being the wolf.
I was at the bottom, man. It was just, it was really, and again, my mind was in it. I'm just trying to I'm like, maybe this will make me happy in the sense. Yeah. I mean, I was in a better place there, but I really wanted, and I knew I couldn't commit to the time that I needed. Like I had the time available when I was younger. And, so I go to one day, and this guy is a really good purple belt, and he, swings for an arm bar from knee on belly. And I see which way I think just his momentum goes an arm bar, and I kind of lift up my hips to kind of help the blow a little bit, to get ready to tap. And I see my rib like bow up, and I see it like through the skin, Oh, like you could see it push up and then come back down. And I remember it was just such excruciating pain. Go to the doctors, right after. And they looked at me. I remember Rafael and I think Guy were there, and they just kind of like looked at me like I was a little, like just a wuss, man. Like just like, suck it up, dude. Like you're fine, kind of thing. And just like no
empathy
at all. And I was just like, the detachment. It was just, I'm like, man, I really want to be. That really helped me like kind of get over it. Like want to be part of that gym. And with rib injuries, like most people know, it take a long time. That one took a long time because the severity of it. And I decided, was it
like some like separated cartilage or something?
Yeah. I couldn't back roll for like 3 months.
Dude, I've got one of those. Yeah, it's horrible. It took for months.
And I wasn't in the position where I'm like, I'm paying like $220 for this gym. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm just gonna focus on really what I want to do. And it was actually a good move. I really think. And I'm like, I'll come back to it when I have the time to really put into it, because it's hard. It was hard for me to go part-time and not have that drive to want to do it more. Yeah. And get better. And then it's like, it was so hard to manage both. So I just figured out, what? It's not for me right now. I don't want to be at Clever's. I don't want to be at AOJ. I don't know where I want to be. I'm just going to focus on work. Yeah. My wife finished up her grad program. We were making more money at the time. We bought our first condo. That's where Japan comes in. And then bought our second condo. That's where I started, I started hosting Japanese students, and that's kind of how I got connected to trans. So I kind of had this like from, I guess, 25 to 28. So I pretty much stopped jiu-jitsu from 22. I got back into 28.
Okay. And so 22 is when you came back from Hungary and went over to AOGA, had a little bit of an injury, and then just said, my head's not in it. This probably isn't even safe anymore.
Exactly. Yeah.
Before you go into Japan, if you were, and I'm just kind of curious, because there is, First of all, there's jiu-jitsu everywhere. Like, it just seems now that you can go get a good gym almost anywhere in the country. And it's proven because, like, we'll go to places like Maine and there'll be people that come in from all different states, and you hear like they're learning jiu-jitsu in the middle of, Wisconsin, or like, places where just like, why is it there? Where it used to be like a purple belt. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but like it would be just somebody that happened to pick up a few things and they would teach. And my point with that is that, like, for me anyway, the attributor to jiu-jitsu has always been the availability of it, right? Like, and I have proven that I won't do what you do, which is go drive 40 miles and pay $20 to get there. Like, it needed to be more available to me. When it was, I trained a lot. When it wasn't, I didn't train as much. And I wonder, and I had also focused on the quality, and I would let that get in my head. Like, well, I'm not going to be able to go to Popovich's anymore, so, I'm probably not even going to learn anything. If you went back to your original gym, as opposed to going all the way out to Costa Mesa to get the premium instruction, but you went back to your drilling ways, do you think you would have been better off?
No.
Or was the instruction itself that much of a premium?
I think I thrive off of the environment. So the gym at the time I wasn't getting what I needed community wise. Like for Migas, for instance, like I haven't been a part of a gym like this. I mean, to be a part of this family that we have, Double Five, and everyone being who they are, and I thrive off that environment.
Yeah.
And that I wanted to be around, like for me, I don't need to compete, but I want to be around competitors.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to push myself. And for me, it gives me that 10 times 10. And at the gym I was at, it wasn't there.
Right.
And it just was really a hobbyist gym. I just felt like, well, I'm not going to show up to jiu-jitsu just to do jiu-jitsu. Like I really want to, like we're putting like days and, hours in this. It's like, I want to see something out of it. Yeah. And that's still how I feel today.
I gotcha. And, so you figured if you had to move, why not go premium?
Yeah. And I thought, and at the time, Rafael, he was my, someone I looked up. I watched him all the time. I tried to mimic his game and all this stuff. And the fact that he opened up the next city over, I was like, this is my golden ticket, Yeah. And it just didn't happen that way. Maybe if I started when I was 17, it'd be different.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Just curious.
Yeah. No, it's a good question.
Just kind of curious. Yeah, it comes up a lot for me. And I have had that in my head before where I'm like, because I think I found that, like, to me, it really came down to showing up. I had different goals than you did, right? But like, it also is, no matter how good the instructor is, no matter what their competition record is, it has to be somebody that you're comfortable with in an environment that you're comfortable in, Yes. And if that's absent, as is evidenced by the fact that you left one of the best gyms in California, like in terms of at least output, then it ultimately is a bad thing,
Yes. Yeah. I even tried it again when I was, right before I came to Texas. Okay. And I was like, nope. I was like, they have so many people now you can't even roll. Oh, is that right? Like legitimately, you cannot even roll. Yeah. And it's like, well, this is pointless.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. We have days like that too, where it's like, dude, the mats are so. Well, I literally have like 20 black belts.
Yes.
And then it's like, oh my god, I can only imagine being brand new walking in. That must be really intimidating. Yeah. But okay, we're getting into some good stuff with Japan here. All right. So what is the Japanese story? Like, how did this come up? So we don't have to dwell on it, but I got to know. Like,
I'll try to get through it quick. There's two big ones. You got to know how I found it, and then obviously why I'm still going there. We get our first condo. I meet a friend at a bar or whatever. We're kind of talking. I meet this one guy, and we're just chit chatting. He goes, hey, have you traveled? And I'm like, oh, we talked about travel. I'm like, I'm just kind of in mind. I'm like, yeah, I think I'd like to go to Japan one day. He's like, you should do it. He's like, here, I'll give you an itinerary. He's been in Japan. He used to teach English in Japan. And
it's a pretty common thing for people to do. Yeah, surprisingly, really that actually is kind of a common.
Finish college and go teach
type thing. Yeah.
And you can pay off your student loans real quick. That's what the guys are doing it because they pay you really good and your rent's cheap, and you just teach there and just pay that sucker off. Yeah. And
a guaranteed job, basically. If you have a bachelor's degree, you can basically go to Japan and teach. Yeah. There's some downsides, which we could talk about, but
I don't know if I want to do it, but it's a good. I wish I would have done that instead of. But, I don't know, whatever. But looking back,
we're gonna start putting a quarter in here, and you're gonna unwind your whole 20s.
So he gives me this itinerary: a week, Tokyo, Kyoto, Hiroshima.
Okay.
and Osaka.
Those are cool. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah,
place.
great. You know, do it all in a week. Give me how to do it all. It's just all you need. Just go. So I went home, booked my ticket with my wife. Because I was cheap, I went ahead with China Air, the stupidest thing I've ever done.
That's so. I'm talking to a friend about that right now.
Oh my
too.
God, dude.
Okay, go ahead.
I've never flown to Asia, mind you.
Yeah.
I've only flown to Europe.
Well, it's China Air, man. It's China. What could go wrong?
Well, not only the fact you got to pass Japan and then come back.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I remember, so we take China Air, and it's like, what, 14 hours? Get into Beijing.
From LA to Beijing, yeah.
Yeah, and, bro, customs.
Yeah.
These guys, they're like, it's straight comp. I mean, there's one person stamping and there's just hundreds of people in line. And we got to make our next flight. And, yeah, it was just not a fun experience.
Yeah.
Finally get from, China to Japan, I just fell in love with it the moment I stepped off that plane.
In Japan.
And I've never been on a train before. I've never been on a bus. I've never been on any kind of transportation. And I remember getting off the plane and standing on that platform and just watching the chaos unfold. To me, what seemed like chaos. Just all these people walking past you and just so overwhelmed, being like, I don't even know how to get on a train.
You're in Narita, I guess. I
was in Haneda.
Oh, you're in Haneda? Oh, okay,
Yeah.
well, that's cool. At least you went from Beijing to Haneda.
So
that's intimidating, man.
yeah, it was. But I mean, to the food, the people, I've never experienced, like when because I've been to Europe, and I've been to Mexico and stuff.
Yeah, you lived in Eastern Europe. I mean, like the intimidation alone of being out of the country. I mean, you were straight up exposed.
Yeah, so I didn't really have too much of expectation. And then when I saw Japan, I saw everything going around me. I was like, why don't we have this in America?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's mind blowing here. Like we've talked about this, but like you got to go to, you can't explain it.
No, you can't.
And it was. I still to this day I tell people Tokyo is like an adult Disneyland. So you have the train that goes around Tokyo in the big old circle, it takes you to each land,
Yeah.
in Disneyland.
Yeah.
And that's how Tokyo is. You take the what line am I talking about? The Yamanote line.
Yeah.
And
the Marunouchi line is another good one.
Yeah,
like the red one in the metro.
Exactly.
Right?
So then you just kind of like, you just pop up. You're in Akiba. Oh, you pop off and you're in Asakusa. Oh, you pop up and you're in Shibuya. It's like they're totally different worlds.
Totally different, man. Shinjuku, you're in, or Ikebukuro or whatever. All have their own themes.
Yes.
All have their own types of people hanging around. All have their own little intricacies. Yeah.
So that's really, I think, what made me fall in love with that. And then the Shinkansen, all that stuff. So I was hooked, man. I was just like Japan became my new jiu-jitsu.
No thoughts of training jiu-jitsu while you were there?
I'd been out
you
there
didn't
for
have
a couple
time
years.
either, I guess, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to school.
A week is not enough to go get a gym, I guess, really. And
yeah. And then because I went back to school. I went back for my business degree for accounting. So I was just focusing on that. I didn't have time to do jiu-jitsu and stuff. And
so how old are you at this point? You're 28, you said? 20?
I was 26 when
26,
I went to Japan.
okay.
It was 2016.
Okay.
And so I get back. I decided to start learning Japanese as much as I could, just travel.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up getting a second condo, going to school. I'm in Dana Point now. I had a condo in Tustin, went to Dana Point by the water. And I went one trip with my brother, my friend, by myself. We went all the way up to the whole Tohoku region, the whole sake tour up there. And then we went to Okinawa. So let me back up. So I think it's going to be my TED time going right now. But
that's crazy. This just came up out of I guess I want to go.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like I was going 1 to 2 times a year.
That's awesome.
That's what I was trying to do.
Just because of like a sudden interest and then an infatuation, it sounds like.
It was insane. It overtook my life. And,
wow, that's amazing. Any thoughts of moving to Japan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And now more so than ever because my wife went part-time. And it's actually working, and like,
dude, we gotta have a talk.
Yeah, no, I would live there. That's my goal. I think is part time. It's really what I want to do. I think for me, it's kind of a bucket list thing. I just have to live there, even if it be a month or 3 months at a time.
Yeah. And
I have some kind of base here.
Yeah.
That's really what I want to do.
Cool.
Moving forward.
Remind me. We definitely need to have a chat.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
So I guess. Going back to jiu-jitsu, this comes in. I'm so sorry. This seems like it's going on forever, but
it's a story, man. It's the journey.
So we get our condo, 2-bedroom condo.
Yeah.
And I finished school. I think I'm going to school, and I'm kind of like, I talk to my wife. Okay, so we get back from my second trip, for a trip. And I'm like, I'm so, gun home for this. I want to learn language. I want to learn everything about it.
Yeah.
And so I start reaching out, and we get connected with some Japanese people who are studying abroad in LA through a friend of a friend. And I do Zoom calls. We go down to Little Tokyo in LA, and one of the buddies he's a little bit, shy and stuff. He brings his other friend who's a little more outgoing. His name is Shige. And Shige and I hit it off. Like, Shige clearly wanted to learn English, and I clearly wanted to learn Japanese. He could not speak English, and I could not speak Japanese. And but we hit it off. I remember he was in LA. I'm like, dude, come Thanksgiving. So he came to my Thanksgiving. I took him to the ocean. I'm like, dude, you gotta get out of LA, bro. Like, it is just, you're in the worst part. You're living with a bunch of foreigners. You're not even learning English.
Yeah.
And it's a bad experience. So I had one connection with him. He stayed with me one night, did the Thanksgiving thing. Great. I remember he had this, my family member made some kind of casserole. It was like an artichoke dip.
Okay. Traditional Thanksgiving fare.
Yeah. So he takes this bite of it with the chip, and you just see this face, just like, just pure, just, you could, I don't know the word, but he just turns to me and goes, I should have been born American.
That's it, dude. This is how we eat every day.
Yeah,
Every day is Thanksgiving, buddy.
Exactly.
Welcome to America.
And that's still stuck to me to this day. But so he goes back to Japan.
Okay.
We go to no, not Okinawa. I go again to Okinawa, and then he hits me up, goes, Chaz, I'm looking to come back. My dad wants me to speak or learn more English and come back to the States. Where should I stay? So to kind of give him some ideas and stuff, like, you should go to LA. And then I started thinking, I'm like, he should live with me, and I've only met this guy once.
Yeah.
And I talked to my wife about it. She's not for it at first and all this stuff. And finally we decided to, so come lives with me for 6 months. Kid lives with us. And mind you, like, you got to know for the...
You guys the same age?
No, he's like 3 years younger.
Okay.
And something that you can attest to is, the Japanese culture, I was pretty confident after going a few times, like, how do I say this the right way? But it's like, I had a really good confidence that he was going to take care of me and my family at my home. Yeah. Because of the way their culture is. Yeah. And the way that I kind of knew him. And I knew with him coming to school and all this kind of thing. So it was like, I felt it was very, I wouldn't just do it with him. Like, I was more comfortable with him than ever having an American in my house. Yeah. Yeah. And
I could see it being like, I don't know how to describe it either, but maybe like everything will be left better than I found it type of a mentality.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's hard to, I don't know what the right word would be. I'm sure I'm just skipping over it, but I know what you mean.
Yeah. And I
can see that.
Yeah. And I had after after I finished it, but I had another woman named Tomo, she's a professional surfer. She lived with me for 4 years, 4 years. And she was my aunt. She took care of us, man. It was unreal. Moved with us to 3 different homes.
Jeez, it's crazy.
And
man.
living with the in-laws in between buying homes.
Oh my God.
Like, she's like,
this is a fixture.
So yeah, she's just obviously helped raise my son, all this kind of thing. So we get Shige there, and Shige lives like a straight bum, man. I'm like, just goes to the thrift shop, just working out, going to school, and so, but every single day we hung out with that kid. My wife hated it. Couldn't spend any time with her. But I knew it was something big. I was like, this is important. Like, this is a season. Like, when he's here for 6 months, I'm giving him everything. I promised him he's going to walk away learning English. And so we built this. It's just me, my wife, and Shige every day with my friends on the weekends. And he learned English really quick. It was a great experience. And then I go ahead and I decided to go back to, and we went to Okinawa that summer. So he was only staying with us for a month. Mm-hmm. I left him like, all right, bro, take care of the house. We're going to Okinawa. He flew in from Japan. We went to Japan.
You go to, and, that's an immersive experience.
Yeah, so we did that, got back, and then we was gonna do another like boys trip with Shige. I was gonna go back to Japan, and Shige was very innocent. He never talked to his parents, never anything, like, just kind of I was like, I don't know anything about Shige, just except that, and it's hard to kind of get deep because of the language barrier still. Yeah. And so I do a trip out there, and I'm going to do this like backpack trip, right? And we did everything. I went to Fukuoka, Shikoku. We did Osaka. We went over this long trip, 2 weeks. And I get there, and I remember him telling me, like, Chaz, when you land, my parents want to have dinner with us. He had told me his dad like sold watches, and all I knew about was like, okay, you just like sell watches. I don't know what that means. Well, I guess you make it by, you're able to come. And I didn't really know the cost of coming to America and all that stuff. So we get there, and it's like, Chaz, you need to make sure you don't eat. So I'm like, okay, like, sure, why not? Like, okay, because like my parents, you can come to my parents' restaurant. I'm like, oh, your parents have a restaurant? I'm like, oh, okay. And we had to pick up my cousin and Narita. We flew into Haneda, me and my buddy, and Shige. And I remember he's like, hey, Chaz, we're going to go try to pick up Jacob, my cousin, and go to dinner. And he like gets the car, it's a freaking Mercedes.
Yeah.
Like a mini Mercedes. And I'm like one of the things you see from Tokyo was it Fast and Furious where they bring the car down.
Yeah. Little carousel.
And I'm kind of like, okay, this is weird. So go pick him up from Narita, get back. And we get to a restaurant, and it's like, you know what it is. So we get in there, and I meet his dad and his mom. Well, kind of. Anyway, so I don't really want to jump into that, but pretty much the family is very well off. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
So much, it's money that I've never seen before. I've never been around this much money. This is the exposure to the people that he knows on the political level, on the celebrity level. But
they're from Tokyo.
Yeah, so their company is 100 years old. 100-year-old company.
Gosh, think of what's happened in 100 years of Japanese history.
Oh my gosh, right?
Yeah, 1922, 19 whatever that would have been at the time, 1918.
Well, think about this too. They got me into Japan when it was closed.
Oh, yeah.
For Shige's wedding.
Dang. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. So you kind of get an idea of like kind of.
Yeah, that's some influence.
But they always because of when Shige stayed with me, they treated me like their son.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
It's been this like, and you see so much wealth and so much like, just that, I guess that's I've never really been around it. I don't really know how to act around it. And then they're treating me as in like, Chaz, just grab anything out of the fridge.
Yeah.
Kind of attitude. Now it's much easier to digest. So every time I go, I see them.
That's cool.
They
man.
set me up in hotel. Just all the things that they can do by their means. And
that is a more gentle on ramp, I suppose. To what could otherwise be a pretty severe learning curve in a tough culture.
Yes.
To be welcomed by as a Westerner, not because they're mean, but because like everything's different.
Yes, and I think that's my story is a little bit different. Why I'm so like it's very personal to me.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, my friends, it's not like just like I go there now because for instance, I went to Japan in November. I brought so Shige has a brother my age and an older sister, and all our firstborns are a week apart.
Okay.
Same year.
That's cool. That's unusual.
It is unusual, and so all our kids are playing. I'm in there having here I am just a part of the family, and it's so neat to be able to be a part of it without having this extra I can just be myself.
Yeah.
And I have many stories of that. I don't think it's appropriate for the podcast, but
did you ever train jiu-jitsu there?
I did this last time.
Where'd you train?
I trained in Osaka, but I'm going to
okay.
When I go this time, when I go on the 15th, I have to go where Kramer told me to go. I have to do it.
Was it the place that we trained and that we talked about on the Carpe Diem?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going there. I have to do it.
They're becoming a huge affiliation, man. And,
dude, they are.
Yeah. I mean, and like back to the conversations that we were having earlier about some of the drilling woes, where it's like a bunch of, linebackers here in Texas,
Yes. Yeah.
There's a lot of 150 pounders there, and just people that would be, and your game too. I mean, I had a really hard time because obviously there were people that were my size that were really big guys. Most of them were expats, but there's not a lot of Japanese people that are 200 pounds and
absolutely not.
6 foot tall. Like it's just not.
You had to train there?
Yeah, I trained there for.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if you picked it up or not, but Kramer and I trained at the same gym.
No, I heard it, but I didn't understand.
We were 2 ships crossing in the night. And
really?
I guess I left when he got there or something like that. I don't remember. But that's what made it so unusual is that he, Farmiga told me that Kramer did something in Japan. I don't even know. It's kind of like how Kramer told me that you have something going on in Tokyo, or whatever. It can mean a lot of different things. Like has been there, loves it, is, used to live there. You don't know.
Yeah.
And so, but his brown belt, he got his brown belt at Carpe Diem, and it was it has the label on it. And then he showed it to me. I'm like, oh my God, man. So we knew all the same people. Cool. Yeah. I mean, there are several different gyms in the area. But the one that I had trained at was out of the Hito area, which is a really nice area, and it just was very convenient for me on the trains. So anyway, I'd be curious which one you go to and what your experience is.
Is that the one near the Tokyo Tower?
No, that's a different one. I can't remember what that one is. That one's a good one to go to from what I understand.
So which one is the one you went to?
Hito.
What?
It's by like a lot of the embassies and stuff like that.
Is it southeast?
Honestly, I don't know.
No? Okay.
Yeah, you'll see it. It's one of their originals. It's
Okay.
it's a nice one. It's and it's got a bunch of good guys in there.
Okay.
I think the one over by Tokyo Tower was like actually one of the original before they had affiliates and stuff. I think that might have been sort of home base. You know, but they have 2 Carpe Diems down in Okinawa now.
Really?
Yeah. One just popped up as a Brazilian guy. And then the other one was something else. It was just an independent one, or I think something with Andre Galvao. So they're getting big.
When are we opening one there?
Dude, we got to have a conversation. I'll tell you some of my plans offline. But yeah, that's on the horizon.
Yeah, I'm all about it.
I keep poking for Mega. I'm like, hey, Double 5 Japan, baby.
Yeah.
You know, like
I gotta get in before they close it on us.
No kidding, dude. I'm pretty sure the Metroplex might be saturated at this point. But yeah, we do need to have a conversation about that. Anyway, so when did you get back into jits? Like when there was a phase, I mean, obviously you were off until you were like 28, I guess, right?
Yeah. So
something clicked.
So I was living Dana Point life.
You're still in California. We got to get you back to Texas at some point.
Yes. And we'll try to make this quick. So obviously Japan works out great. I'm in Dana Point, living the surfing life. I'm surfing all the time because now I'm close to the water. And Dana Point has a lot better breaks than Huntington Beach does. It's a point break, has rocks and stuff. So loving that. And then one day I got to fight in this water with this older man. And that's not very uncommon, but I don't know what it was. I was just pent up, but I was pretty upset about it, and I was flipping him off, and we were having this altercation, and there's people on the beach yelling. So it got really serious to me so we're in the water kind of waist high, and we're tripping at each other, yelling at each other, and mind you, this guy's like 60.
Okay.
But like 60 surfer, like they're still doing like they're still drinking and partying kind of attitude. There's 2 guys on the beach now waving at me, like looking like they're gonna jump me. And the guy who I've been arguing with in the last 15 minutes looked at me and he goes, "Grab your board and swim back out in the water." Like really serious. And I was like in the more like taking care of me way, not like we're going to fight. Like he's like, if those guys get a hold of you, you're screwed.
Yeah. And
I don't want the police involved kind of attitude. And that's when I was like, and my wife is down the tower away. And I remember thinking, I'm like, dude, I don't know how to defend myself right now.
Yeah.
I haven't done jiu-jitsu in 6 years. Like, I don't even, like, I'm going to get, like, I would really get jumped.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I got done that day. I'm like, I never want to feel like that again.
Yeah.
That was horrifying.
Yeah. A helpless feeling. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And so I went ahead and Checkmat was kind of building up at the time. And so I was like, I'll join Checkmat gym. And South County didn't have many gyms. They still don't. And, so I joined back up. I really didn't want to do it, and I got back in. Saw this one gym. I wasn't really too fond of it because it's like a newer gym. I wanted to be, where the action was. And this guy just roped me into it. And I remember getting on the mat. There's Patrick Kelly. He's probably going to listen to this, but Patrick Kelly was my first role, purple belt. And again, I'm purple belt.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And been out of it, and I get back in, and Patrick Kelly's a wrestler. He's a very good wrestler. And he banana splits me. He like just ragdolls me. Just destroys me. And I still was like, I don't really want to do this. Like I got my career I'm working on.
Yeah.
I'm doing real estate and working in healthcare. And then I just like, I'm just going to keep on showing up. Just kept showing up. Started plugging away. And just slowly got back into it. And I started kind of finding the joys. But when I got back in this purple belt, I really focused on fundamentals only. I didn't even think about where I was previously. I'm like, I just want to relearn jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. I got, you know what? A newer school is probably a good place to do it.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of got me in the community there. And then so it happened to be that, all the guys there were surfers the breaks I used to surf at. So now I had when I went on surf, I could still suck and have people around me to protect me.
Yeah.
That whole, because the surfer, it's a very selfish sport.
Yeah.
And
is it just because of the lack of frequency of opportunity, like few waves, in other words? Or
yeah, and it's all about you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your wave.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's the wave you worked for. Someone get on that wave, dude. You better get off that wave. Kind of thing.
Okay.
So
that's very rational.
So it's very. I don't like it at all. It's really, and I stopped surfing during COVID because everyone got into COVID because it's the only thing you could do over there when they shut everyone down.
Yeah.
And COVID is really what changed so, I got back into it. I was kind of just dabbling, still going, all stuff. And then COVID happened. There's something I don't want to, I get my brown belt from Checkmat, from that gym, and from another professor that gave me a brown belt. It's kind of a big drama thing. But really when I picked it up fully and got really back into it was COVID. It's when they shut everything down. And I didn't take that well with COVID, and I worked healthcare during the whole time. So I had to work the whole time. I was in pharmacy tech. And so I would be doing the COVID thing all day, and then, everyone closed down, everyone's home, but I'm out working kind of thing. And they shut everyone down. My buddy had just opened up a new gym. And I was having troubles with the gym that I joined, I just told you, in 2018, kind of issues with there. So I was trying to find another gym. And obviously COVID shuts down. It's kind of this really we don't know if we're going to shut down. Or we're going to, it's only going to be 2 weeks kind of thing. You remember that whole
Yeah, dude. Talk about that chaos. Yeah.
So my buddy takes all the mats and he puts all the mats in his office downtown in Dana Point, and we're straight up speakeasing it. We got all of the stuff, blocked off. You can't see, and we're all sneaking in and doing this, rolling in there. And so it's kind of like this, a more club feeling. And then, I was trying to go, as much as I could, but I was so I was working like a dog in the healthcare during the COVID. It was just, so much overtime. People can drop in with COVID. You got to cover them, and we were handing out medications to COVID positive with no PPE daily.
Yeah. Did you ever get COVID or?
Yeah, I ended up getting it. I think a year later, and right when the vaccines came out, and that's kind of the reason why I'm out here today in Texas. But so lift it, and the trainings come back in, and I'm just I'm hooked again. I was trying to get better, and I'm starting to see results. So this is really where it changed. And I got my body's moving again. I'm not hurting anymore because it's been so many years. And then I got my brown belt 2020 December. I got awarded that.
Okay. At Checkmat?
Yeah, I want to check my gym's guys who's opened up the gym during COVID. That gave me a lot of insight actually with how to open up Wolverine. Yeah. Getting a little encouragement. I got to see the growth and how they did that. And but 2021 is where I was I came to my wife, got my brown belt, and I went to her and I go Lauren, I think I really want to do this. I really want my black belt. And want to get out of California. Yeah, well, at the time it seemed fine. Yeah, okay. So it was okay still. I was I really I'm going to treat this like a job. I'm going to be serious about this. I'm not just going to go, I'm telling you right now, I told my wife, I am going to be here on these days. There's no question hey, are you in the gym today? I'm going to be at the gym. It's a job in my mind. Yeah. I'm going to show up and make sure I get the results that I want. And I was driving an hour. I was an HQ that was an hour away. And I would get done with work at 5:36 and carpool with my buddy Monday through Friday and train at this one gym. And then I'd cross train again on the weekends at all the gyms down south. And I did that up until, so this was 2021. That I competed, everything was great. And then the whole vaccine stuff started happening. So when you say vaccine stuff, meaning the vaccine rolled out. The rollout, right? Yeah, basically. So they rolled out, I think, in January 2021. I had just gotten COVID. Yeah, that sounds about right. And I had first access. So it was the elderly and the healthcare workers. I've got first access. Mm-hmm. And I never took the flu shot even before that. So I was already opposed to, any kind of thing that I had to take. And so at the beginning, it wasn't forced. And so I was cool, keep the supply for people who need it. Yeah. Whatever. I don't want it, kind of thing. I don't need it. I just got COVID. Makes no sense. Yeah. I was still freaking out about it, trying to encourage you to do it and all this stuff. So I just kind of went on my way and just focused on jiu-jitsu was my escape from work. Cause it's seeing that day in, day out. And mind you, I had to deal with, you're in healthcare dealing with all the people who are stressed out about COVID. And then I get off of work and go to the grocery store. You got to deal with all that junk. And California was a different world, man, with this stuff. I mean, it was that's what I heard. It was not America. And then, you get to the jiu-jitsu gym and it just felt oh my God, it's normal life again. Yeah. All the jiu-jitsu bros were just, no one cared about COVID. Dude, you really can't, you know, can't. You're in kind of a contact sport. I mean, you're basically, yeah, I mean,
proximity is out the window. Go ahead and wear a mask if you want. I mean, it's going to leak on you. I mean, it's
exactly.
Yeah.
And that was a big support group for that whole COVID thing, because I felt really lonely in the healthcare, the harassment and the pressure to take the vaccine and all the stuff. And
was it mandatory in California, or?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's why I'm here in
actually
Texas.
mandatory, or just socially mandatory?
No, man. That's why I'm here.
Really?
Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so I started seeing the writing on the wall. I'm like, they're gonna make this thing mandatory.
Yeah.
And it's like June, and I was trying to see my exit strategy. I'm like, dude, what happened? Like, what do I do? Like, I've been with Kaiser for 7 years now. It's all I know. I know their skill set. I mean, I have my accounting degree, but I'm like, I don't even know. I can't make my bills. I had this, my mortgage was big. I was still having people live with me from Japan and stuff to kind of offset, because I only worked like 3-4 days a week because I was doing jiu-jitsu. So I kind of backed off on that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't make enough, like just my wife and my income, like we'd be barely saving. And I was always really trying to save.
Yeah.
Big proponent of mine. And so I start seeing it. I go to my boss and I'm like, if they make this mandatory, which I think they are, like our company, I go, I'm quitting. I was very vocal about it, about the vaccine. I just felt like it went against all my rights as an American. Yeah. And I felt like, this is a big story for why I left, but so the government comes out and they make it all healthcare, right? Government workers, I think, for the first federally, and then they start going out healthcare. California's always in cahoots with the federal government, so they went ahead and made it all mandatory for healthcare workers. We had to be vaccinated by the end of September 2021. I told my boss in like July, whatever it is. She's like, no, like not gonna make it mandatory. Don't
Just
worry.
Wait it out.
Sure enough, comes out. They go ahead and.
Were you in the minority, or were you alone, or?
It felt like I was alone. I mean, in my pharmacy, I had one coworker who really got me through it. She wasn't vaccinated as well. She decided not to. But the mocking, everything around you, the doctors, the nurses, it's just like the. All these medical professionals, and I was just like, anyway, so I'm like, this was huge, Dave. Like, for me to quit my job,
seems like you clawed your way into it too.
Everything, man. Like, I was like, it was just I don't even know, like everything. And same with my wife's job. She was in education, and I'm like, oh, if I quit, where do I go, man?
Yeah.
My main objective was to take care of my family, and to go somewhere that I knew I'd be safe.
Yeah.
I really was at that point, because California really put in the mindset, like, dude, they're taking away my job, they're taking away what I can and can't do. It's not going to get any better. It's just going to get worse, and people are encouraging it around you. Yeah. So you're like, okay, so people are encouraging people to take my job away. They're encouraging me to take my rights away. They want to do that.
Yeah.
They want to call on their neighbor next door and call them out because they have someone over.
Yeah.
Like, they are incentivized to do it.
Yeah.
And it
There's
was just
no real light at the end of the tunnel yet either.
There isn't. And at that time, I was just
a lot of flare ups and I mean, this is summer 21, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I remember the Memorial Day weekend of 2021, where it was like, all you people that had part, and maybe there's some truth to it, maybe there's not, but like, I know what you mean, like the alienation of those that didn't, abide by the, the government mandated orders or whatever, it was a very tough time for both sides,
Exactly. And I didn't really know what to do. And then, so I thought about taking the vaccine, because I was kind of I was my back against the wall, and I have like this heart murmur or whatever, and at the time I knew there was like studies of heart stuff. I'm like, I didn't want to chance it, and my wife's like, you're not taking the vaccine. Like, if anything, someone's gonna keep their job, it's gonna be me. I'll take the vaccine, kind of thing. But we were trying to get pregnant, so we didn't want to risk that.
Yeah. A lot of things to take into consideration.
Yeah, and it was like, that's with anything, I think, and so I remember telling myself, I was like, I was broken, man. I was like, because my life was good. I had
it seems like things were kind of back on track.
Big house,
man.
right by the water. I had 2 other rentals. I worked 3 days a week, full benefits. I got to train when I wanted to.
Yeah.
I got to travel. you know,
And now you got to rip it all up over a freaking jab.
Yeah. And I'm like, and I remember crying in my living room. And I remember like just thinking like, if I take the shot, I'm going to go against everything I believe in. Yeah. It's going to destroy my character. I go, if I take this, I'll be a slave to this job that I don't even want to work for. I go, I will never be able to leave this job if I take this shot. And it was like, it was so heartbreaking, but at the same time, it was freeing in the sense of like, it made me stronger because I felt like, okay, like like I said just a second ago, if I say yes, it would destroy me as who I am. Mm-hmm. I will go against everything I value. And I was like, I can't do it. And that was like kind of that, like, you know, that moment I'm like, you know what? I'm not. Yeah. I got exemption. So I did get exemption for religious exemption. So I could have stayed. Mm-hmm. But at the time they're saying that they're going to review everyone's exemption. Like, you're really Christian, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I'm like,
it's easy to look back at it now.
I'm like, they're just a matter of time before they just take it away. And I don't want to chance it. My wife was on board. That's really what, and then my in-laws started getting an ear that we're going to move. And so we ended up selling their house. I ended up selling the house, took all the money. I rented out still have my rentals, my house there. My family lives there. And we seriously packed up and we came out I've never been to Texas.
Why did you pick Texas? Just
jiu-jitsu and freedom.
Jiu-jitsu and freedom, yeah.
It was either Florida.
I mean, it's an easy choice. I mean, I can understand that.
Yeah, and a lot of people left during COVID to Texas and Florida.
Yeah. We've got people in our gym, maybe even people you don't know, that I've had, very similar conversations to. Do you know Dylan?
Dylan.
He's a blue belt. Probably close to your age. I mean, he's a little younger. He lives in, dude, he doesn't have the same story, but it was like, I just left California. I was done with it. Yeah. I don't want to tell his story for him, but I mean, it was one of those, the first times I'd ever heard of anybody that said, I'm like, well, where did you move? And I won't say the city, but it's not normal. I mean, like, it's kind of like, I moved to downtown Dallas because I heard cool things about it. No, it was one of the outskirt cities. And he's like, yeah, we found a house online and we just bought it. I'm like, dang, dude, that's crazy.
We bought ours.
I gotta respect that so much, man.
Yeah. Well, we bought our house out of sight unseen.
That's see, dude. That stuff airplane is just nuts to me. Like, because we've done, yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. Like, I don't mean like crazy. Like, I wouldn't do it. I mean, it's just like the scenario itself and the fact that, you know, this was happening in multitudes. I mean, it's so insane to look back at. I mean, we're in Q1 of 2023 right now. You know.
Yeah, I mean, but you make up a good point. I mean, I think a lot of people have that story. Like, California is like, I love the state. I love the geography of it and everything it offers. But like, man, I really felt like, I mean, nothing like any other refugees felt or anything. Sure, yeah. But I kind of felt like a little bit like a refugee within my own country. Yeah. And it was like, seriously, just grab any property. Because at the time too, you know, the real estate market is really hot. Yeah. And it was like, you know what, we need at this point, we need somewhere to live.
That's true, man. That's right. Right now, obviously, there's a whole lot of stuff going on. Interest rates are going crazy. Fed just raised another 25 bips, and the market itself is cooling off a little bit. But so I know a little bit about that because we were in the flux of a move as well. We had a house in Austin we were trying to sell. We had this one that we were trying to sell, but then we wanted to keep. I mean, it was crazy, man. And this is not some fancy area. I mean, it's just a basic part of DFW, right? There shouldn't be these little backdoor deals happening like you heard about in California, where it was like, you know, I have friends that, you know, had come from California or lived in California, and I would always hear about the craziness of the housing market. We lived in South Florida for a decade, and it was the same down in Miami. It was just like, it's hard to get a good deal. Dude, this is Flower Mound, Texas. This is basic, you know, like there shouldn't be some sweetheart deals happening, brokers under the table trying to work stuff out and like bidding over by 20% and stuff. Like, the market was nuts, irrational. You know? That's how people, I mean, and it's because people behaved irrationally and out of circumstance, you know, irrational circumstances. It was insane. 2 years ago. It's crazy.
Yeah. Seriously. Yeah. It's like, it's yesterday, really.
I know, man. I know.
I mean, it's and being in the industry too and seeing it, it's
you'd have a special, you know, unique insight into it.
It's really exciting.
I'm glad you're here, dude.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm
the great Republic of Texas now. You're
you know, all our values and everything all lined up with Texas too. That's why we chose it. Yeah. You know, we're very I'm very libertarian. And I really believe in the Constitution. And you know, you grew up in California, just kind of that's where I was born, that's where my family is. but never was I part of the agenda there. I was very, trying to be as free thinking as I can. A lot of the BJJ community is like that, I feel like. We got this sense of individualism. Don't tell me what to do kind of attitude.
Yeah. What's so funny about it is I have like friends, a ton of friends in California. I mean, even recent friends that I've met at like the jiu-jitsu camps and whatnot, and nobody seems like what I hear about California is this like ultra left-wing, extremist type of, I just don't know anybody like that, like probably because of the community that I'm a part of, or my propensity to like Southern California, which from what I understand, like LA and San Diego even were like just a different experience, one's super really right, one's super left. But it's crazy because like I just have never actually personally experienced it, and all of the experiences that I've had from Californians themselves have been nothing but good,
Yeah, well, I feel.
So I don't want people to think I'm picking on California here. I don't get it yet,
Well, I agree, and that California definitely has that stereotype, and there's it's definitely there. I mean, but here's the thing: those people are still there.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
For the most part, I mean, not everyone. A lot of people have gone. Still have.
We saw it a little bit. Like we lived in Reno for a while, and then would kind of frequent into the Bay Area, and noticed it quite a bit. Dude, this is sketch. Like
it is, man.
Let's go back to
let's go back. I think the biggest thing for me too, it's like why I love Texas. It's like I haven't been around so many people who are so family oriented.
Yeah.
In so long.
Yeah. Like, well, the group you're around too. I mean, that's probably a little bit of sample bias. I mean, we have just really good human beings, and
we really do.
Around us. I mean, which even in the community we're in, I haven't seen as much of, not that that's lacking in other places or anything, but like, I just feel like it's ultra concentrated here, or maybe my eyes are open brighter. I don't know. One of the two, or a combo.
Well, I mean, like my wife, for instance, like in California, it's always frowned upon. Like if you're staying home and taking care of your kid,
it's
definitely discouraged. And here it's like encouraged. And my wife is so much happier here. She's,
how old is your son?
He's 3.
He's 3? Okay. Yeah, okay, cool. So you guys have a little while before you have to make a decision on how you'll educate him, I suppose.
Yeah. And I think we have a lot more options here in Texas than we would. That was the other thing too, was I was thinking about his future. And the way California's education system and everything going there was, you just didn't have any control of it. Yeah. And the government, is going to be control of your kid. And this was the right move. And it was just, awesome, we probably would have done earlier, and the timing could have been better with jiu-jitsu. And my mindset, like there's no way I could have moved to Texas if it wasn't for COVID.
Yeah.
Because it was pure survival. It was pure, like, I'm going to move somewhere where I feel like I can be an American again.
Yeah.
And if you told me you're just going to come to Texas just for a job, I'd be miserable.
Yeah.
And, I came here, and like, we can jump into it. My coming here was tough the first 8 months. I didn't make any money. And my wife got a job and lived with my in-laws. And my wife's going to work because she had a speech pathologist and get a job right away. And I'm watching my son, man. And my mom watched my son every day in California. And I remember like just watching my wife walk out of the door in my in-laws' house. I'm watching my kid. I'm not making any money. I don't know how to make money. I don't know anyone. And I felt so like, is it emasculated? Is that the right word for it?
Yeah, it could be.
It was like my man had just
the role shifted for sure.
Oh my God. And my wife was so supportive. She knew, she was my biggest support, and I never once saw her ever like, change or anything like that. And, but it was hard.
She probably knew deep down that you'd get yourself back on your feet and just needed some support.
And she was there for it. And, it was hard for me to watch my kids because it's just not natural. I mean, I love my son. I love spending time with them, but like, I needed purpose. I needed something I wanted to contribute, and I wasn't contributing, and now I'm living in, like I said, my in-laws, and I'm just like, I just feel like I'm mooching and all this stuff, and like, I'm making money from my rentals in California, but it's not anything to kind of get myself on my feet. And so I'm just in a deep place, or just really depressed this area, like moment. It's like I joined VA Academy. I find jiu-jitsu, so I'm really bummed because I'm trying to find jiu-jitsu. I can't find any jiu-jitsu and get to Texas. And
which is strange because it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. But I didn't think it was. I got like 316 failure gyms. I just wasn't really satisfied with them.
Yeah.
And I was looking for a chuck mat gym. Came across Vinny's. I was like, okay, cool. This is good. Like this is where I want to be part of. I really like Vinny. Great instruction. Everyone there. And so I start going there. And before I get to the the sad part, I guess. So this is good. So I'm really depressed. I know all this stuff. Just told you. And then one day we're at the Gaylord hotel for like Christmas time.
That's a happy place. I mean, there's nothing to be sad about the Gaylord,
Gaylord,
at the holidays, especially, dude.
So we're over there, and I remember that a couple days before that, I'm at VA Academy, and the thing was open out, and Weston's there with Zach.
Okay. I told a story about Zach in the last one about him wiping the mat with me.
Yes, dude. Oh my gosh. I'm like,
dude, he's so good.
He's so good.
Yeah.
I can't.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Like, don't worry, you're getting better. Yeah. Dude, I'm like, oh,
really?
I'm gonna go cry.
And I like look at him like I'm looking at the Tokyo Tower. I'm like, you're so freaking tall and short.
Exactly.
You guys probably same height, but you know,
he feels a lot taller than me, especially while he's kicking my butt.
Yeah, right. When that Del Hiva comes around.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So my knee was busted at the time, and I remember Weston shows up. I'm like, there's a black belt, no black belt.
Good one.
Weston mops me up, and I remember, later on the line, he's like, dude, you sucked. Like when I first met you, Weston did. He didn't say it. He said it, but didn't say it like that.
Wait, I appreciate the honesty.
He encouraged. He's like, dude, you've gotten a lot better. But like when I first met you, you
remind me to never have another conversation with Wes. I don't even want to know what he's gonna say. I don't even want to know what he's gonna say. If he says that to you, then oh my gosh.
No. Well, I think it's yeah. So I asked him like, hey, like, where do you train? He's like, 5. And I was like immediately interested. I'm like, what's this 5 place?
Yeah.
And so I'm over at Gaylord Hotel, and I kind of Googling. I'm like, oh, 5's right here. I text Vinny. I'm like, hey, Vinny, can I go to 5? So Vinny hits up Hard We Go, gives him a heads up. I go over there, and Hard We Go, and I'm down. Like,
when is this?
This was like
Christmas of 21, I guess. If you're the Gaylord.
Early December.
Okay.
Maybe.
So a year plus, yeah.
And again, I'm kind of the same place I came back from Hungary. Felt very misplaced.
Yeah.
And I go in, and mind you, like, I've been to a few gyms, and I've kind of done really well. Like, I've done good at these gyms. Like, it's like no one's challenging me. And I'm still thinking all the gyms in DFW suck.
You just haven't gotten out there yet.
It's being a rude awakening for this one. So I remember I get on there, and Rodrigo rolls with me, and he slaps on his lasso, and I'm like kind of like just half awake, and he arm bars me super fast, and my arm seriously dislocates and comes back in. And I remember looking like, oh my God. I'm like, okay, my arm still works. That's good. And I just got wrecked that entire class. And I was like, I found it.
Yeah.
I found my gym.
I got to make the trip.
I'm going to go. I don't care how far this is. I've got a Tundra. When I moved here, I'm like, I don't care. And so I started going, and I one day I met Mark France Cuddy. And he happened to live nearby in Sunnyvale. I lived in Rockwall. So we started carpooling. I was trying to make it. And this was hard too, because I'm living with my in-laws.
Was Mark already a black belt at this time?
Yeah.
He was.
He just got his black belt. So I think he just won Worlds.
Okay.
Got his black belt.
Okay.
And so I'm kind of like begging my in-laws to watch my son to go train.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of like, I know my end goal. My end goal was to eventually open a gym and become black belt. That was my end goal. But when you're not making money,
I can see that.
And I'm kind of like, there's just that tension of like,
sure,
you should man up and take care of your responsibilities, kind of thing. And so that was really difficult for me doing that. And but I knew there's it was gonna hopefully pay off. And I so excited. I found this gym and met Formiga and Rodrigo and everyone there. And I was like, I want my black belt from one day I woke up, I want my black belt from Formiga. I go, this is where I want my black belt from. This man right here, because of everything he represents. And so kind of friction coming to the house, living there, this big move. My father-in-law was still in California because he had to finish off that year to retire. So he gets through December. I go ahead and buy a house in Wiley, just like some fixer upper. I was going to fix it up and rent it out. And it's right by the VA Academy, so it'll be great. I can go there and train real easily. Well, the first week we get there, and Real Stick was I was working, I just got on the team, and then we got robbed of all our stuff.
Like
so
burglarized, robbed?
like,
or?
so I think I asked for a referral from a contractor,
Mm-hmm.
and I left him to go train for an hour,
Mm-hmm.
and all my stuff was gone. It was like really like perfectly taken, where like it's like almost like you weren't gonna notice it.
Yeah.
But he took my all our jewelry, all our valuables, all our my laptop which I need for work, and like all this stuff, and like these watches. Like, so back to Shige, like he's giving me, so his family's giving me watches that are, you know, up in the thousands.
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah,
lost
watches
those.
can be sources of wealth even. I mean,
Yeah,
like, dude,
you know,
it's a
like-
whole rabbit hole, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's, and personal too
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah,
Those
yeah,
are
yeah.
very like, you know, there's gifts.
Yeah.
And I remember they took that, and so here I am in this house. Freaking, I've already been like down.
Yeah.
I'm not making money still. We're like, we had a good mortgage cheap, and we could run it with my wife. But now we have fallen safe in this house. Someone's been in our house. We don't know how they've gotten it. We don't know exactly who it is. Like, do we choose the wrong neighborhood? You know, like, what we, you know, we're so like, we just kind of jumped, because I was just so desperate to just get my own place. And I wasn't going to rent, because I just like, I've been owning for the last 7 years, whatever it was.
Yeah. And you're in the industry and you know the perils of it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I was just, so I'm sitting in the living room, and this comes to Wolverine, but Mark calls me, and I'm like, I'm bumming, dude.
Yeah.
And one thing I gotta say to like Mark Frenskett, he's really taking care of me. The day I met him, he just really looked out for me, still does. It's like a brother to me, and like
How
older
did you
brother.
meet Mark?
I seriously walked into Double Five, and he's on his computer. He looks at me and goes, "Have we met before?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think so." That's it.
Do you want to know one of the first conversations I had with Mark?
Yes, I do.
No words.
Yeah, that's about right.
He said, "Welcome to Brown Belt," after he knee barred me.
Yes.
And then he walked away.
That's so Mark. Oh my gosh.
I'm like, what the hell, man?
Bro, he does that. I love Mark.
I mean, dude, I didn't take any offense to it. I actually kind of just chuckled about it because I knew him enough to, but it was just,
that's so
it was
him,
just
though.
so funny. He just looked at me and goes, "Welcome to Brown Belt." And then he walked away. I was
Just
like,
so serious.
"Awesome,
Just,
man. Cool. Yeah, my knee's okay. Don't worry."
yeah. Oh, he don't care, man. He, and drilling, like when he shows a move, he will hurt me in a move. I'm like, Mark, like he goes, "Do you want to see it?" I go, "No, I'm good.
No,
I'm good. Yeah. You know, I don't
Yeah.
need to show, because I'm like, no, I don't need to feel it, Mark. I have a question.
That's awesome. So what was the phone call?
What's that? Oh, so he calls me. So he goes, and I'm like, you know, I'm kind of like, I don't know what I'm going to do now. I'm still making money. I'm trying to do real estate, or just kind of, I'm like, can I get my own place? And he goes, and he has a full-time job, and he makes, you know, he's a professional, has a good career, a long career. And he goes, "Chaz, do you want to open a gym?" I laugh. I was like, you know, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I'm kind of getting emotional about it, but I'm like sitting there, I'm like, Mark, I can't open up a gym. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm going to do tomorrow, man. Like, I have all my stuff is gone.
Yeah.
Like, I need to work. I don't really, I mean, I have saving stuff. I don't want to really get in that to start all over. And I'm thinking, by the time we even, like, let's say, I'm like, I'm not going to make any money. Like, there's going to be so much investment. Like, I need to figure out how to.
You got an income issue. First
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And I do not want to go back to get a 9-to-5, man. Because I left that. It's like, now I'm going to this cycle battle of, why do you even leave California?
Yeah.
I should have taken the shot. I should have done this. I should have done that. Life was perfect. It was straight up like the Jews who left Egypt, you know, like, oh, we had meat. We had all this stuff, you know, all these kind of things. And now you're just giving us manna. Like, it was that kind of like fight.
Gotcha.
You know, I'm like arguing with myself with it. And so I'm like, I entertain the idea. But I'm like, I really got to figure out what I'm, you know. So we ended up moving back with my in-laws. Made a deal with my in-laws. Like, hey guys, can we do this one last time? Let me just get us back on our feet. I kind of got a reality check. Let me figure out where I want to live, where I'm going to put my roots, how work's going. So we ended up renting out the Wiley house, you know, breaking even, which is great. And then Mark starts getting like, because I just kind of thought it was kind of like, you know, it was a random comment. And Mark starts kind of digging into more. And so with my license, he goes to me, he's like, "Chaz, you know, can you help me find a place? I'm looking for a place, you know, in the Rowlett area," because we live nearby there. He's in Sunnyvale, or we're kind of playing with Garland, some other areas. Rockwall's kind of already saturated. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll look into that. And this is around April. I start looking, and so I found this place where we're at now, and I, you know, was presenting the the place to him, the lease, and doing all the stuff. And Mark did most all the groundwork, like in the permits and all that stuff. But I was negotiating with the landlord and all that. And then his other partner, so it's Mark and John who own the gym, so I don't own any part of it. But John who's the partner, he went ahead and told Mark, like, hey, like go ahead and do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got you, kind of thing. And so Mark was interviewing during this whole time, and looking, he's like, do I go ahead and continue down this path of my career, which you can always pick up and do, or do I do my dream?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Mark, I'm here to support you 100%. Whatever you want from me, like, I'll do it. And he's like, I just need you to really teach the kids and be there. And it was close enough for me to do. And I was like, yeah, dude, this is like a dream come true. Like, this is kind of happening. And so I negotiate the whole lease. I don't take commission. I kind of wrapped it all up to make it work out for us. And that's kind of how that whole thing kind of got off the ground.
Man. That's crazy. I didn't even know any of this stuff was going on in the back. I mean, not that I would, right? I mean, it wasn't it's on a poster or anything, but it was just like one day. I kind of knew Mark had something going on, but I wasn't sure, what it was. And it's Rowlett, so it's not a rock wall, so it's not like I'm going out there all the time. But I didn't know you were involved in it, and so until like suddenly I'm like, dude, this is like Chaz's gym too, and you're teaching jujitsu and stuff at night. So when did you guys actually open it up?
We opened up July, I think the weekend after 4th of July.
The week, okay, cool. Yeah. So 7-8 months ago.
So, yeah, 7-8 months ago, and that was another thing that was really okay. So this is really where I look back and I'm like, God, thank you so much for this hard time. So I was going to quit real estate because I just wasn't making money. I don't know anyone. Real hard to kind of get going. I was to watch my son. And I think we're working on trying to sign the lease for the gym, right? So this is June, May. One day my team lead comes to me and she goes like, I've been helping free deals, and I was making few deals I closed. It was like chump change, nothing like $500, $1,000. I'm like, what is this all about? Because I was closing referrals, so she would give me a lead and I'll close it. But she's gonna get to her lead, so she's right to her money. I just get a little, money to kind of
little juice.
Yeah, and she's like, hey Chaz, like, I've seen you, follow through and all this stuff. Do you want to kind of like work something out? Like, I'll give you these deals. We'll continue doing this. So pretty much that day really changed my life because now I get all these referrals and these leads now, and I can start closing. It's paying my bills. I'm making money now, all this stuff, because she has too much she can't handle. So but she trusts me enough to be able to carry that out and do that. And so our bond and our relationship's grown a lot. And then even my presence in real estate and understanding, doing with investors, all that stuff is huge through her. But the same day she calls me, the same day we signed that lease.
Wow.
And it was like, whoa.
That's crazy.
Like, I went from like just like nothing's gonna change, like, and it just like happened seriously overnight, Dave. Like,
that's amazing.
And the money started coming in. Like, it's not like crazy, but it's just like enough to start. I'm like, wow, I can actually like breathe again. Yeah. And go to the grocery store and buy the food I want to do. I can do all this stuff. And then and I was stressed out about the gym because I'm like, how am I gonna manage it? And now I'm able to manage both of them. I'm able to go to Formigas, train at Wolverine, and close my deals. And I structure everything around. And back at the very beginning, it's like I go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's my job, to be there. Just like it is to Wolverine. Yeah. And I will make sure I get all my stuff. If I don't get my stuff done, I can't train. I'm miserable. So I make sure I get all my real estate stuff done. Even for this podcast, like I get all, like, if I see my schedule, I'm going to make sure it's done. Yeah. I'm not showing homes during Formiga's class. It's just not going to happen.
I love that mentality, man. I joke with my wife about it as well. Cause like sometimes, I've had to have, it's different, totally different story, but my own mindset shift. And like when I go out to train, like I'm going to go train tonight, I tell her I'm going to work. She's like, where are you going to train? I'm like, no, I'm going to work. And she's like, rolls her eyes, like whatever. Man. That's awesome. Okay, so you've got a unique perspective then, and I've been kind of waiting to get into this part a little bit, because it's been a while since we've had a gym owner on. I think we had Anthony on last, and it was fun to talk to Formiga about it as well. But I mean, like you've you guys have just recently opened up 6, 7, 8 months ago. I've seen the videos, I've seen the pictures, man. I mean, the students are flooding in. You guys are now starting to get, you talked about the group earlier of like the club of white belts that'll come up. You guys kind of have your first club coming up right now.
Super exciting.
I mean, people inevitably sometimes shift gyms, right? So you'll get the blue, purple, brown, black, whatever experienced grapple that'll come in. But it's got to be rewarding to see the white belts kind of start gluing it on. As they start coming up and coming in, what do you want them to know about your gym, the culture in your gym, and just the beginning of what hopefully is what you've experienced, a long, decade-long, multi-decade-long journey?
Yeah, no, it's funny because this just happened in the last couple of weeks. So I've been getting more involved with the adult class, especially. Wolverine Jiu-Jitsu, if you know Mark, Mark was the first to get on the mat, so he's the last person to leave.
Yeah.
And that's how the gym works.
Straight up known for that too.
Yeah.
Even Formiga told me that. He's like, he goes, I was just complaining about drilling earlier, right? But like we were talking about that once. He goes, you need to just go grab Mark, go grab Mark. And because Mark will drill and you'll have to make him stop. He
doesn't leave the gym until like 9:30, 10 o'clock every night. And it's like, he will stay there with everybody, all the students, and he drills. They work on stuff every night. And it's all the white belts. Everyone's there. It's like, I'm leaving at 9 and I want to help them mop the mats. But it's like, dude, you're still going to be on the mat for an hour. I got to get home. My family stuff. But, to go back to the white belts, the Wolverine's a very clubby feel in a good way. Like, it's not structured in the sense of your traditional jiu-jitsu class. I grew up under a very traditional Brazilian, structure, which is great. I think it's very important. And this is very, there's no warm-up. It's all, move of the day kind of thing. Really focus on it. And then we do positional and we do rolling after. And then it's like a nice, easy end of the class. And then people stay for another hour.
Yeah.
And all we do is just hang out, talk, do some more training, get some more rolls in. Because he just...
unstructured open mat type of setting.
It's all open mat. And the kind of people who want to get the more rolls they can.
Yeah.
Especially if we have a lot of new people too. You can't really get them rolling. You want to keep them safe.
Yeah.
And it's created already a strong attendance of students who are just hooked on the sport. And it's made me super excited. So in the beginning, I was the first probably 4 months, it's when you open a gym and you have no students, you're like, how do I get students? Like, and Mark took care of all of it. I have not done anything. He's done all the marketing. He's done all the sales, all the closing. It's all on him. All my job when I'm in there, especially with parents, I love on the kids and I talk to the parents. And I make them, I'm just trying to make them feel comfortable. Yeah. And I try to make them have fun with the kiddos. That's my main goal. Yeah. And that alone has been insanely rewarding. Our kids both went to a tournament and medaled, and we're like, that's great. I saw some of the photos. I'm like, dude. I was nervous. I'm like, we want to do a tournament. I'm like, that's probably I don't want you to do a tournament. That's
probably why you didn't feel nervous on Sunday in Austin. It's because you had just come from like the ultimate nerves, watching kids that you're entrusted with, compete. Oh my gosh. So that would be so stressful for me.
It was, I'm like, I'm freaking out, and Mark looks at me. And I'm like, Mark, are you going to get on the chair? Are you going to I'm like asking all those questions. And he looks at me and he's like walks past the gate. I'm like, how'd you get through the gate? And he kind of gives me this kind of smirk, kind of like, he's like, it's not my first time. I'm like, well, it's my first rodeo, dude. So you need to tell me what to do. I'm freaking out right now. These kids.
That's awesome, man.
But one of the kids, she listened to all my commands 115-0. And I thought that was one of the most, cool, she would look over at me and listen and actually do what I told her. That was a moment where I'm like, okay, this is what coaching's about. It's really cool. Yeah. So I don't know if it really answered your question for the white belts, but pretty much the environment that we're creating, I want people to enjoy it the way I did and just feel like they have a place to come. Because a lot of these people too, this is their only community. Yeah. And there's no community like jiu-jitsu. Yeah. And if you make it so structured where they can't ask questions or enjoy themselves after, you don't get to talk. Like those are for I think it's more for the serious, I guess people who are like, I'm going to go in there to do jiu-jitsu because they love it. Like everyone walks to our doors. This is martial arts. They don't even know what jiu-jitsu is. Yeah. So we're trying to teach them what it is. And we're in this, it's so exciting. It's so new. And I don't know if it's the right way, but it seems to be, successful. And Mark is, one thing I've noticed with the key to success with gyms is and this is, I think with Formiga too, the leader, the main instructor, if he's passionate, or he or she is passionate about the gym and their students, people are going to stay and come in.
Yeah.
As soon as they start to drift, like my first professor did, you lose that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And,
That's true.
And people try to find it somewhere else because people are there. I mean, yeah, we're there for jiu-jitsu. We're there for community, and there to feel be a part of something.
Yeah. What about the guys like me? The guys that, didn't, I mean, I've had spurts where I took it really serious, for a couple of years and whatnot. But like, honestly, man, I had just had life stuff come up, and I didn't know if I was going to get back in or not. I wanted to, but I didn't know if I wanted to want to, or what the story was. A new gym pops up, like in my case, it was Formigas, and I'm like, cool, let's dust it off. Let's go back at it, but that's the lonely road, especially the older you get. Do you guys have anybody like that? Or if you did or don't, what would you tell them?
Several. We have a lot of people who
fragile old man, fragile 40-year-old, not an old man, obviously, but like somebody that's not exactly, D1 fresh out of the, NCAA circuit. What do you say to these guys?
You know what? I don't know if I have anything to say except, mostly Wolverine's adult is older. They're probably in their 40s, 50s. Is that right? And you have some young guys, but, I'm learning from Mark. Yeah. I'm learning as as this goes on and watching it because I don't know the answer. If I don't know gym, I wouldn't know how to do it. But Mark's so good at teaching beginners because he's been there and he's experienced it and not had athleticism on the side, and he's put in all this hard work that he's able to get these guys to do things, man, and they're progressing in skills so fast. And then they're feeling a part of it. They got this community and they have this motivation to go. Now they're feeling better. And all, like for me, like I just want to get better to be the best. Like that's my motivation. But what is the motivation for someone who's getting back into it and just wants to do it, part-time? Like I can't do my mindset. I can't be a 3-day weeker. Yeah. I want to do it all the time. But for those who are in that situation, like a gym that allows you to come in, not get hurt, be able to work on your stuff, get your exercise, and be able to hang out. It's really just it'd be like any other sport. Like you go play basketball, on the weekends or something. You have that group of friends. Yeah. You don't need to be the best basketball player, but.
So I'm kind of curious. I'm curious of your perspective here, and I got to start wrapping it up a little bit because we're like 2.5 hours in. I've got the timer here.
Yeah, okay.
But but you will have a unique perspective on this. And I don't think, I for the most part, we'll roll at lunch. That's usually when you and I would see each other. Like, I don't know if I've seen you at night, and I don't really come at night that much. But on Tuesdays and Thursdays, what I'll do a lot of times is I'll train in the morning, like 6 a.m. or whatnot, and I'll go as hard as I can, or as hard as we need to, depending on who's there. And then I'll go back at night, but I won't roll. Do you sometimes... And I don't do that at lunch. I just can't. It just doesn't work for me, to do that. And so I won't go. But like I've got no bones with sitting out, man. And I get a lot of value personally with watching and observing and taking mental notes. You're gonna get it. You're getting up there here. You're in your 30s now. It's gonna start creaking a little bit. Do you guys have any problems with that? Is there some gyms don't like that? Some gyms don't like people sitting out. They want people training.
Do we as a gym, Wolverine?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
So if you get hurt, like what are the rules of engagement? Not if you get hurt, but like let's just say that your hip's sore, you're nursing your MCL like I am.
It's all up to the individual. I mean, unless we know it's like something that's going to be, like we needed to address. Yeah. There's one guy who's like broke his thumb, a tendon, and he's rolling with a cast on. Mm-hmm. He can still roll. He's a white belt. Yeah. He just started the sport. He's on the mat with a cast. I'm like, dude. Yeah. That's how stoked he is on it. Yeah. As far as like I was going to say, I feel like there's like a bit of sample bias that's out there, right? Because, and this happened the other night, we were getting ready for Austin, and obviously, right, people are trying to get their cardio up and whatnot, and I'm, I just can't, dude. I'm like, I've been nursing a neck injury, and the way I protect my neck is by, using my half guard and my knee and whatnot. And then I hurt my knee, and now I can't protect my neck, and it's just this downward slope. So I'm just gonna watch. I hate doing it, but that's what I'm gonna do. And guess how many people are sitting there? One, me. But I feel like there's this set of people that just won't even come because of it.
That's what I mean by sample bias. Like all you're seeing are the people that are willing to come and not train, but like still try to find a way to stay consistent and get after it, and just stay in the game. So I'm just kind of curious, like, would you encourage, what would you guys encourage your students to do? Like stay home, do you guys want them on the mats anyway? Is it okay to watch if you're hurt or injured or what would you tell them?
Yeah.
Like if you're not quite 100%, or if you're a cop and you need your knees to protect your livelihood,
Yeah, no, I think about that quite a bit, especially for like firefighters, police officers, people who need their limbs to work.
Yeah, their joints to be functional, or it doesn't even have to be a cop, it could be a landscaper.
I personally, my take on it is staying home and not showing up is only going to make you quit. Lean you towards it.
Yeah.
Because now you're spending money that you're not, getting use out of. Watching can be pretty brutal. That takes that's individual. It's going to take a lot of restraint to not want to get on that mat by watching, depending on your injury.
Yeah. Oh, trust me.
Yeah.
I know. It's so hard, dude.
Yeah. And then there's types of injuries, and I thought about this because I think you had, you brought it up earlier, but, injuries that need surgery, that's a different situation, right? Like don't get on the mat if you need surgery, obviously, or wrap it up somewhere you can be safe. Now, if you got something that you can nurse, like for instance, like I popped my rib in the summer and I went to Formiga and I said, Formiga, I can't play guard. Can I just pass?
Yeah.
Set me up. All I did was passing for 2 months. I popped my knee when I was like a blue belt.
What do you mean all you did was passing for 2 months? You mean when he would pair you up in a role?
All I did was pass.
All you did was pass.
So because I couldn't play guard.
So you would have a conversation with your partner before you guys started rolling? What would the conversation go?
Like, hey, my wrist busted. Can I just pass? I go, if you sweep me, we'll start over. If I pass, we'll start over.
Okay.
Because I can't keep it down either. So
Gotcha.
It was great. And my passing game increased. I think the good thing about it, injuries can be a good thing if they're not, detrimental.
Yeah.
For surgery. So like I look back when I popped my knee one time from a triangle because I wasn't flexible enough. I pulled it too hard. And I couldn't use my like outside, knee movement. And so all I did was on the blue belt time, and then I learned half guard because all I could play was half guard.
Yeah.
And then my knee got better, my rib got better, and now I go back to my game, and now I got this, I get to focus on something I never would. And I get into the Formigas, it's match after match after match, and I'm just getting all this passing drill. Now before, when I get paired up with these black belts and brown belts and Formigas, I'm not usually on top. Yeah. But now I got this agreement.
Yeah, where
I get to work against
you get kind of a cheat code.
Joao, all these guys, I get to try my passing against high levels.
Yeah.
And so to answer your question, my encouragement is if you can get on the mat and safely roll in certain positions, so not go in position. So, and this is an ego check. This is something that you have to ask yourself. If you have the tendency to want to push and feel like you have this injury, but you can go to a game and hurt it again. Yeah, maybe you should set off. Maybe you should have a, talk, figure that all out.
Yeah.
But if you really know you're hurt and you don't have an ego problem and you want to just get in there, like I would much rather lay in half guard or mount than sit on that wall.
Yeah.
And then you're there, and then you soak it in,
totally.
And you know what? You start thinking, and you start learning a different game, and if your knees hurt, you wrap up your knee, and you just don't get yourself in those positions, and you choose your partners wisely on that. So my encouragement is, if you can get on the mat, stay on the mat. Sitting on the bench and being home is, if you have to, for a season, whatever. But you're spending money too. You're spending money and time and all this stuff, and it's like,
Gotcha. When over the years, coming up, and I guess you'll see this with your students as they start to evolve, like you've got some seasoned students now. I know some of the people that are there and they're clearly expert level or advanced, at a minimum. And then of course, like, we talked about, you've got your first class of white belts that are starting to, stripe up a bit, and now they've got a few moves in their arsenal. For you personally, like, did you ever have to deal with these moments where, like, I don't know how you would describe it, like moments of doubt, I suppose, like, am I ever going to be good at jiu-jitsu? Like, is this even for me, because everybody else seems to be doing better,
I think I have that question every month.
Well, it's hard to understand. So here's the thing. This is funny because I was talking to this guy, Jordan Edwards, and his podcast. I did a podcast with this guy. It's called Business Jiu-Jitsu. It was freaking really cool. He's got a cool series. Shout out to Jordan. But like he was talking about that a little bit, and then he said that, yeah, and oh, by the way, when you say that as a brown belt who's doing so well, like nobody even believes you. And I have a hard time even believing you. Like, oh, I wonder if I'm any good anymore. Like, yeah, right, dude, you choked me out the other day, you know.
I feel it a lot.
But it's still in the head.
I will walk away sometimes but you know what? Those days are the best days because I walk away better. When I get my butt kicked, and if I'm not on fire, and I'm having, like, sometimes I have weeks where I'm just I feel like I'm sucking so bad and my timing's off, all that. And I just like, some days I just want to quit, and obviously I'm not going to, but mentally, and I just get so discouraged. But yeah, it happens more often than not, but it's the one thing that helps me reinvent myself and it gets me, focused on it. So I think it's a good thing. Like I have plenty of plateaus. I have plenty of times where I'm discouraged and I don't want to do it. I just show up. I know I just got to show up. Yeah. And I'm not a very like I listen to, the other podcast, and I admire, and I listen to, not just yours, but other people, these people, I admire their discipline. I admire their, the way they live their lives and all that stuff. And I'm I'm disciplined, but I'm more I'm free flowing. Like I'm kind of go with the flow. My biggest thing is like, I want to be able to put my best up front and take care of people. Yeah. I'm not really concerned with my own personal achievements. I just want to be a part of something and part of people's lives. And if I get to do that, that's what gives me that drive. And so the only thing that I feel really disciplined in, where I feel like it's the only thing where I have to do, like everything else around me is like, if I get to it, awesome, great. If I get to the gym, I'll work out, and I know I need to go there. But like I have to be at jiu-jitsu. Okay. Like there's no like it will change my mind. Like I will be my whole attitude will change if I'm not there. Like it's so ingrained in me. Yeah. But if I don't go to the gym, I can go to the gym again. I can go lift some other time. I can figure it out. I can make it in my schedule. If I can't make that lifting appointment, okay, I can make it another time. But like Monday, Wednesday, Friday is 12 o'clock noon at Formigas, and I am not missing that. Yeah. Well, it goes back to the beginning, right? Like that consistency and making your good habit your ally, and time. Yeah. Sort of magnifying these margins. On the plateau issue, obviously, like I joke with you, like of course you feel that sometimes, right? We all do, and I think that's part of the point. How do you pull out of it? I mean, like, obviously you do, right? I mean, like the self-doubt goes away at some point. It's replaced with something. I mean, do you see light at the end of the tunnel, or is it just that you look back and you realize, holy cow, I just freaking made it through it? No, I notice when I get in plateau pretty quickly. Yeah. Sometimes some are so I had a very long plateau. It took me, I had almost like a year here. Like I had to to get through a plateau, there's a few things I look in mind. One, you need to try something new, mix it up. If you do want to go the YouTube instructional route, I recommend just taking one or two moves out of the instructional. Yeah. YouTube's a little more difficult because it's not structured. Yeah. So such a deep hole too, man. It's so hard. It really is. So what I found works really good is find an instructional that complements your game. Okay. It's a little bit different. Maybe it's similar. Watch it through. Don't overwhelm yourself. Find things that seem that you're going to complement, not too over the top, and start playing with that. And you'll notice, you play your game and you start adding those tools in. And if it works, great. Not, you kind of the next thing, and then play around with some new guards. And then, sometimes when you take a break from your A game and you come back, your A game's better. Yeah. Totally true. Yeah. Because what you're doing is probably complementing it without even knowing. And at a minimum, it's adding some tools into your tool belt. Yeah. Yeah. And then open mats. Yeah. What is it about open mats that's so appealing? I think it kind of gives you that unknown, it feels kind of like that tournament feel a little bit. Yeah. It's funny how that is, isn't it? Yeah. Like I still am intimidated. Like I'll and I don't roll. Like I roll terribly at open mats. Yeah. I'm so kind of feeling people out. Yeah. It's so funny how that works, man. It's true. I don't know if intimidated is the right word as much as it is just like that unknown is there and you do feel it, right? Like it is different. Like, I want to represent, we got somebody that's new, that's here. This is my school. I'd love to do well. Or I'm a guest and I'd love to do well. I mean, it just changes it up a little bit. It's kind of ridiculous, but it does help. Like, good luck trying to tell yourself not. It's going to happen. I know, man. Like, whatever happens. Like, no, it doesn't always work that way. Coming close to the end.
Obviously, we talked a little bit about competition. Austin, you and I had a good time. Waco, you and I had a good time. You're off to Oklahoma again, and then we got Dallas coming up. So you would be, quote unquote, a competitor. But competition, I mean, look, I think it was Tristan and I that were talking about this. We had this situation in Maine, right? And it was, this question comes up all the time, to compete or not to compete. And this was an interesting dynamic because it was people from all over, all different, not disciplines, everybody's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but all different affiliations, schools, states, backgrounds, demographics, the works, a really good sampling of society in Jiu-Jitsu. And the question was, who in here has ever competed? And of 300 people, probably 200 raised their hand or so, right? A good sampling of folks, but a good sampling of people that didn't do it either. And then who's done it more than once? I bet you half to most of those hands went down. And then who does it regularly? 5% of the crowd had their hands up, so, whatever that is, 15 people. So clearly it's not mandatory. But what's your advice? I mean, you've got, again, back to your students, you've got a bunch of new students, you've got people that are kind of entering this world, I mean, what would you tell somebody that asked you, should I or shouldn't I?
If they ask you, should I or shouldn't I would say you definitely should.
Yeah.
But I would never go out of my way to tell someone that they should go to tournaments. I think it's very personal. I never did tournaments until I joined Formigas consistently.
Really?
And it's really the environment. And Tristan, I think in the podcast, was talking about kind of the environment, that just kind of, he was saying something, being in the room.
Yeah, just the association.
And it's like, I never competed. And now that's all I want to do, and to see everyone.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's really, and then we show up to the tournaments. We're all there, and so the advice, I do tournaments to overcome my own mental fears, but that uncomfortability. Like I know it's good for me, and I hate it. Maybe someone else has a different reason why they tournament. I would definitely encourage you to do it, especially if you're blue. You should definitely do a tournament.
Yeah.
White belt, not so much. Kind of, a white belt tournament's going to not really be so much of a jiu-jitsu feel to it. It could be kind of more like a brawl at times.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you come against a wrestler and you're going to deal with that.
That's a good point. I suppose you get the benefit of the experience, right? But it's probably not going to be very technical,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's my white belt tournaments. I think that's what discouraged me from tournaments was white belt tournaments.
Yeah.
And blue, but
what discouraged me from tournaments were terrible tournaments,
Yes.
like back in the day. I used to compete a lot when I was younger, and like old school nagas that are in like a high school gym, where you just can't even breathe,
Yes,
it's compared to like the IBJJF that we just went to, which was in a professional sporting arena with plenty of space to spread out, warm up, eat, facilities.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I've been liking those actually.
Oh, same here, man.
Yeah.
I talk about spoiled, Yeah. Cool. But you're right. Like I know what you mean. Like you going white belt versus blue belt, in blue belt, you've got a few skills. You've got, a chance to go and test yourself. So you think it's a good experience for folks.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I think too, it's, if you don't want to do it, don't do it.
Yeah.
You got to feel, I don't know how much you get out of it unless you really want to do it.
Yeah. I do hear people sometimes feel like they've gotten pressure to do it. And like, look, we're the people where we'll train, like at lunch, our class, a lot of people in there compete,
Mm-hmm.
but I have never once felt pressured to compete. And our professor is one of the best competitors of all times, So like, if that's telling you something in terms of like what's mandatory and what's not, like if he's not pressuring you, I don't know who could pressure you,
So, real quick, I've been in gyms that pressure.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
Yeah.
But this is the only gym for me, guys, where I straight up have FOMO on competing. I hate competing.
That's kind of what came up with me too.
And I'm like, I'm in this gym with all these guys. I'm putting everything I have, and they're going tournaments. I'm kind of like feeling like I'm missing out.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to be a part of that.
I know.
Like,
It's a lot of fun,
I'm
man.
already showing up doing all this. I don't care if I could lose. I'm just gonna that's fun. Like I never felt that before, so it's a new experience too.
Yeah, I actually do. I haven't done it like you're going up to Oklahoma. There's not going to be a lot of people because it's just not as big of a turnout. But I've never done one where like I went by myself out of state. Like I'm going to go do a podcast up in Colorado
Oh, nice.
soon. And I'm waiting for an IBJJF up there. That'll be probably the first one where I've traveled without the team, you know, like Waco, we had 30 people there. Austin, we had a bunch of people there. It's fun with all the camaraderie and stuff. So like if you're down on competing, then don't limit yourself, but don't feel pressured, I guess.
Absolutely.
You know, because it actually could be a lot of fun, but you know, only if you want it.
Yes.
Closing things out. So, dude, you got a long journey. I mean, essentially from high school, God, I wish I trained when I was in high school. I didn't even know this stuff existed, you know, and whatnot, to where you're at right now. Clearly big things coming. There's no question. I mean, you're exposed to this in ways that, you know, most people would never have the opportunity, including like a daily interaction with a really good black belt like Mark. You know, all of the folks that you get Monday, Wednesday, Friday, of course, at work, quote unquote. What is next, man? I mean, what's coming up for Chaz?
My biggest thing, right? My biggest goal is competing as much as I can this year, and then shooting for my black belt. Mm-hmm. And then I'm kind of dabbling. I've never done no-gi, so no-gi is something I'm playing around with now at Wolverine. Got a lot of no-gi guys there.
Yeah, some really good ones.
Yeah,
the Abe guy we were talking about.
Yeah, Abe's, and so that's really exciting. And my jiu-jitsu as future, it's everything and more I can ask. I think, you know, for me with the real estate is my career. Like real estate's interesting because that's something that I'm not going to be that agent who's just going to sell the same house. I mean, neighborhood. Like my job as a real estate agent is a consultant. That's what I really do. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm giving the deals. I'm making sure everything transaction. I'm not just trying to, you know, make my sales. So my goal is to, you know, being here in Texas and putting my roots here with the gym, is get everything I can with Wolverine, let that flourish and grow. Hopefully get my black belt. And then, you know, just really kind of delve into this real estate industry. Because what I see here you know, coming from California and coming here into the DFW market, everything that Texas is doing, you know, there's a lot of opportunity and there's a lot of, you know, the networking, the gym and all this stuff. It's been very freeing. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be going to Japan for my third time in, I think, 6 months.
Oh man, don't say that.
So,
my wife's going to listen to this. She's
I never got.
Next thing I know, we're going to have a ticket.
Exactly. So
I better start saving.
We got some good tickets, man. $650 round trip. Yeah. So
do you see how tall I am?
Dude,
do you think I'm gonna squeeze into a $600 seat?
Yeah, no, you need some good.
I'm joking.
That's a long flight.
I'm totally joking, man.
You know what I do now is I go to LA and I stay the night with my parents and I fly out the next day.
There you go. It shortens it by like 4 hours.
That 14-hour flight's terrible, but
yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean to answer the question, I think my focus right now is the here and now.
Yeah.
And it just focused on my jiu-jitsu, the people around me, and obviously doing the, you know, this opportunity with the podcast. You know, this is just many more relationship building, and it's fun. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have. I'm just happy again.
That's good, man.
You know, that's important to me.
I like the here and now piece. I finished a book this week called The Peaceful Warrior, The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. Have you ever read this?
I have not.
It's a good book, man. But anyway, not to even go into it, but one of the quotes in there was like, you know, what time is it? It's now. Where are you at? I'm here. You know, so the here and now, man, is powerful. It's powerful. There's a lot of mindset stuff in there. The homesick blue belt / purple belt, I guess, that was hanging out somewhere outside of Budapest. Do you think that guy would believe you're in Texas and the budding of a successful real estate career, running a gym, and on the eve probably of, you know, a major promotion in your jiu-jitsu journey?
Absolutely not. No, I never dreamed anything. My life changed when I went to Hungary. Yeah. So I definitely never thought I'd be in Texas doing jiu-jitsu. I never thought I could leave my job. I was really trapped. Yeah. And, you know, just 2 years ago, if you asked me this, I would say there's no way. Yeah.
I love hearing stories like that. Yeah. Because I think so often, because the reality is, man, at any one of those times, dude, you could have brought comfort back in a heartbeat, dude. Yeah. You know, keep that W-2 coming, man. Why wouldn't you? You know, kick the shot down the road. You could figure it out, but you would, like you said, probably have constantly felt like you were compromising. Yeah. And believe me, I've made the easy choice so many times in my life, you know, just to take the comfortable routes. It's something I really admire, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
What do we leave people with? Man? You've balanced this thing out for this long. You've got a lot of road to hoe still, but you've got a lot out in front of you. You know, you've been on the balance beam.
What did I take from it? I guess with my life, like, I'm a big relationship person, and everything I have, obviously I believe is from the Lord, but it's really the people around me. Really being present and enjoying the times that you have with the people around you, and especially for the jiu-jitsu community, we get a lot of that. My family, and I try to be as genuine and real and try to listen and care. And I don't like to fake the relationships around me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to do small talk. I mean, small talk has its place, but, and even my job right now with real estate, like, if I'm taking you out to get a house, like, I'm not going to, like, this is a emotional investment.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I kind of gravitated to real estate, because I can really be who I really am.
Mm-hmm.
And I get to practice that. Like, I used to work in pharmacy, and I know this is, and I never got to take care of the people. I was always told to stop taking care of them. So my biggest thing that's helped me personally is if I just love on people and I be myself, everything's going to work out.
I love it.
So
that's a heck of a way to end it out, man. Live in the here and now. Well, until next time, I think you've heard it here. The here and the now, it's a powerful thing, man, and it is mindset. So what time is it? It's now. Where are you at? You're here. I love it, man. From Chaz. I love it. Until next time, we are out.